Cool.
All right. Okay. You good?
Yep.
All right. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm here with Tay.
Hi.
Okay. So, what are we going to talk about? I already said lots of stuff that I was going to say before, but I'm also going to try to talk a bit slower. So, got to calm down. So, I guess we can do a brief catch up. So, what you been up to?
I came back from my trip from Vietnam.
Yeah.
And the past few weeks I've been trying to get back into the groove of reading the Bible and trying to reestablish my faith, because I feel like when I was on vacation it was really hard to keep, like reading the Bible when every day is like packed with like fun stuff.
Right.
When I get back I barely have enough energy to like read the word, but
Right. Understand.
yeah. So
You can still praise and
I do pray, and one of my friends, Jason.
Oh yeah, Jason.
Yeah. He sends me like scripture every day.
Oh wow. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's really cool.
So I could read it when like I have like mental space.
Right.
I would read it. Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
a blessing.
It is a blessing.
And I brought this like workbook with me. It helps you develop like assurance
Right.
by like helping you memorize verses and also helping you work through what those verses mean.
Okay.
And I memorized 2 verses currently, and I've been meditating, like, so it's been helping this stretch of time where I'm just like, eating, having fun. Like I have like this verse in my head. It was okay, I'm blanking now. And this is the testimony: God has given you eternal life.
Right.
And this life is in the Son. He who has the Son has life. He who does not have the Son of God does not have life.
Yeah.
1 John 5:11-12, I think.
Right.
And it helps me like that. I just like meditate throughout the day. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean if I just like believe in Him? I have eternal life now. Like, do I even believe? That's like the main question I've been tackling when I came back. Like, I thought I already like got past that. I was like, okay,
Right.
I accept Jesus. I believe He died for me.
Right.
But the reverse happened. Like when I get back,
Right.
like I was like, wait, do I really accept Him? And I'm falling back to the dimension of like, but I need to feel Him. But then like my past experience kind of already affirmed to me, feelings are not adequate for like confident faith.
Yeah.
Because I kind of can't trust my feelings based on what happened to me. I had a psychosis type of episode, and it effed with my perceptions.
Yeah.
So because of that, I was like, why do I still seek this feeling thing?
Right.
Maybe to itch this longing for like a high or a greater high or the greatest high in the Holy Spirit.
Right.
That people keep talking about. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
curious,
Right.
Having known what fake Holy Spirit feels like,
Right.
because I've done like psychedelics. Yeah, so I was like, I feel like I'm testing God, which isn't what He wants me to do. Sorry.
It's all good.
So yeah, I feel bad for like wanting to feel this, because God doesn't want us to test Him, but I also like, I don't know, it's all this stuff. And then today I was tackling God's sovereignty over my free will that God also gave me, and with a bunch of verses about how like God desires everyone to be saved, but also Romans 9, where He's I forgot which disciple, He was equating God to a potter who like can make the pot for His glory or for I don't know, destruction or wrath or something. I was thinking like both of that is true. If I like take the preposition that like preposition. If I take the
Preposition, yeah, you're right.
yeah, that the Bible is the truth,
Yeah.
then both of these have to be true.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? And
Yeah,
it's
it's very
just like
interesting.
really wrestling with that.
Nah, I
and,
bet.
yeah, all of that.
Yeah. It's because one of those. Because while you're talking, I was listening, and they're like different things. Where it's like, okay, you're saying this word here, but maybe that's not what's going on. And then, oh, you have this principle here, and you think it's intentional with this principle, but this principle contains this principle. You know, so it's just like this one. I'm always thinking in terms of like structures, because like and sometimes also in terms of like time and in terms of like motion.
Yeah.
So it's just like because that's how ideas tend to work.
Okay.
Sometimes people think. Yeah. So. I guess I have the sense of like you put it as like you can't trust your feelings, and it's just it's very difficult because it's like because it raises the question of like I guess what's the nature of trusting, you know?
Yeah.
And
which is what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, because it's like because I had a similar. I mean, well, you already know, like where I was like, oh, there's a part of me like I put it as like there's a fine grained discernment where it's like. You have your autonomic system, you have your automatic ways your body works, your mind works, but then you have your volition, and like you as an observer being able to will and observe certain things about you and make them do things. But then, at least in my case, I feel like I have a psychological Siamese twin, which is my psychosis, or it's a spiritual problem, whatever, that's working and distorting me in some ways. So it's like discerning amongst these, being like, oh, this is me automatic, this is my Siamese twin messing me up, and this is me choosing to do this. And it's weird because I actually have a fine sense of like what each of these are, but sometimes they blur. What's automatic for me is always clear, but the Siamese twin sometimes is vague because it influences my interpretation. If I'm not, it's very clear because it's like my conscience feels very narrow and dim in it. But so is this? I have the same problem you're having too, and like I told you how like I became more sane in my episode, which like taught me a lot about the nature of fool's gold and rose gold, and how like I have this understanding that every feature of you is manipulable.
Yeah.
But while you're in a wakeful state, the observer and the volition, there's a feature of, there are ways they can act where it's like sometimes they may surf things, they may fall down a cliff, and sometimes they may have a parachute and slowly descend, or they may act on things or be acted on, or they may fuse with things. Like, there's so many different activities that happen with consciousness that I've experienced in terms of like how emotions and thoughts work. And so a lot of these things become a matter of I use the word composition, or like how do you get put together, how do you get a tuned sense of how to work and how things play out. And then I use, like with the Bible, I use the idea of the logos, Jesus being the order, and you could say the composition. So it's like, okay, how do I let him organize me and unfold for me and tune me the sense of reality that he is.
Right.
So that's basically what I've been doing, and it's like adjusting, using certain things that he's presenting, because it's like there's an interesting feedback process.
Right.
But there's also like a clarification, like the aletheia, the word aletheia used in Greek to what Jesus said to refer to himself, like I am the truth, like the unconcealing, so things kind of clearing up in the, like things appearing from a fog, or like a light coming out on the darkness. So it's kind of like waiting for these things while you're tuning in. It's like, okay, I got clarity here, and I stored this, and now I'm getting clarity here, and now this can relate. This can help me discern this. This can help me contain this. This can help me get rid of this. And stuff. So it's like all these different things are unfolding, and it's not a linear process either. It's not like step by step. It's like there's sometimes a retracings, but sometimes the retracings is like sometimes you retrace, you go back to something you were before, and then you expand it, or you modify it a little bit, or whatever. So it's just all sorts of stuff, and if you try to like get it all at once, or you try to like, it's so fascinating, and yeah, it's just something that's hard to translate, and because what you're struggling with is you're very meta about stuff that people kind of take for granted. So it's like you're like how do I can't trust my feeling, but it's like you're still trusting a feeling because you have a feeling of distrust.
Right.
So it's just like you trust certain feelings at certain times over other times.
Right.
You trust certain thoughts because you distrust other thoughts. You distrust other thoughts because you trust other thoughts. So it's just like, so that's kind of that process. Being aware of that is one of the things I try to tune, and I test things, and I interact with other people and so on, and it's just very interesting. So like you brought up a lot of things that people are very much struggling with once they actually try to get to a situation where they're trying to discern themselves and discern the truth. And it's not enough to just be like, it doesn't help for people to be like, just trust God. You know, it's like, because it's just like, but my problem is I can't trust myself trusting him. Yeah. So it becomes a matter of like, well, this, because I guess I almost want to explain it phenomenologically, where I put it as like, I took, when it came to trusting, it's sort of like granting. You tell me you're from this place.
Right.
I've never been there. Never seen you on the map. I'll just take your word for it. I'm like, okay, like you almost suspend disbelief. You just kind of like let it sit in your head, like let it be, and then I'll interact with you in a way that see how it unfolds, and see how, based on what you're telling me. I mean, some of these are weird too, because it's like you're taking what's accessible, and then you're using it to extend what you haven't accessed yet. And that's kind of what we're doing with our knowledge. We're always like filling in gaps, and we do it socially. Well, we do it with each other socially, and we do it with imagination. And so that feature of things is something that I like. The fact that what you're saying is kind of bringing up that stuff we take for granted. Or did you open that because you want to express something?
It's like a bunch of verses that I've been marking down. But like the more I read, you know, like this verse, like, for by grace you have been saved through faith.
Yeah.
And this is not your own doing, it is a gift of God.
Yes.
So like it makes me go like that was Ephesians 2:8, by the way.
Yeah.
And even this other one, like 2 Timothy 2:24 to 25.
Yeah.
And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but kind to everyone, able to teach, patiently enduring evil, correcting his opponents with gentleness.
Right.
So that God may perhaps grant them repentance, leading to a knowledge of the truth.
Yeah. You know why it's perhaps? Because it's like, it's more like on our hands, we don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Hence that word.
And it's still up to him.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, this pairs with, and this exact verse, 2 Timothy, it pairs with the 1 Timothy 2 verse 4, which says, God our Savior, who desires all people to be saved and come to the knowledge of the truth. It uses the same language, knowledge of the truth.
Yeah.
So it's like, God wants everyone to be saved.
Yes.
But also, he may perhaps grant you repentance. Again, that's like what I'm struggling with.
Yeah, it's
like,
very interesting. Yeah.
It makes me go like, well, it makes me understand argumentatively that it doesn't really matter how much I want this feeling or how much I try to read the word. I still have to, based on what the Bible tells me, rely on him, pray to him to give me or grant me this faith through his grace.
Help my unbelief.
Yeah.
Like that
but I only understand this
Yeah.
like at like a argument.
Yeah.
Like this, therefore this.
Yeah.
So okay, I understand this with my mind.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Right.
But it doesn't make sense to my heart, you know? It's like, okay, like...
Okay, actually, describe that to me. Like, when something has made sense to your heart, how was it like? Can you remember? Or is it something you can't articulate?
There's a harmony to it. It's like...
Okay.
It's like... Not only is like, Yeah, no, it's like, Yeah, it's like a revelation. It's like, it's a clearing.
Okay.
But
so there's
there's
a aletheia.
Yeah,
There's
a discordantness to it.
Yeah.
And there's even a way to interpret my confusion as a gift of God.
Right.
So I have to be thankful of this confusion because I can... Well, I'm sure I can even pull up some verses that says like
trials or whatever.
Yeah. That this is where I need to be.
Or even Job, you know.
Yeah, Job. Yeah. Like, it's all predestined, and it's all his design. And my like the verse that the guy who asked Jesus, because I believe, help my unbelief.
Yes.
The quote you gave me. It points to the fact that there is a mechanism for you to for all these struggles. Yes. And it's normal.
Yeah.
So it's like,
and you see so many variations of people. Some people who just immediately believe, some people who take a long time, some people who get evidence, like they experience miracles, and yet there's still like another miracle that you say is like Thomas. Right. He's like, I don't believe the resurrection. He's like, until I see him and like place my hand in the holes in his hand and inside, I'll not believe. Right. Like, while everybody was like, but you know, it's just one of those things. It's just it's like, it's just fascinating if you get different variations of the nature of how belief works.
So it's like, and it's like I'm here because God wants me to be here, and my ego is like, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
But also like, I mean, maybe this is this is definitely the sign of the Holy Spirit being in me.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm saying this because in a meta sense, like I feel like this is what Christians would say. That because of the Holy Spirit in me, like I can also confidently say I lost my train of thought. I can confidently say that I lost it. Yeah.
You can confidently say like all this you're going through is a part of the process as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So there's a sense of like even the situation contains its own oppositions that resolve themselves along the way.
Yeah.
Which is actually a good that's the microcosm and the macrocosm for how God works with creation, where it's like he makes it where things mess up and then he tunes it better. You know, the process of sublation I told you about. You know, you negate, preserve, optimize, improve. So, and even in your own stuff, it's like that, where it's like you have features of you that that are intention sometimes, and then sometimes there's a synthesis, sometimes there's a differentiation, and you employ them to do different things, and sometimes there's like interaction, you know, like a dynamism, like a dialectic, unfold certain things. So it's just fascinating that, yeah, like, cause sometimes we just want instant harmony, and and that's something I struggled with. Well, there were multiple struggles, like there's so many different angles to this, because it's like, because there's always a way in which, because I was telling one of my friends how like, my problem is I can always increase possibilities. I can, no matter what gets me, I can easily think of like multiple alternatives, not just big, but also in detail, that tune each alternative, make like multiple variations of this one thing, or rather multiple family members of this one gene of a particular possibility. So that makes it so hard to navigate. I'm like, I get stuck in superposition, but I'm like, but I have to like go with the premise, like there is a hierarchy, rank of importance in terms of like what's most important. And that sense of most importance gives it like the sense of the most true, if you will, the most resonant, the most functional, and so on. And then, so there's all sorts of different categories that come to being, but it's just navigating these things. So it's just like, there's a feature of which like, sometimes with certain things, if you're struggling, you might be like, oh, well, what if you're just rationalizing or tricking yourself or whatever? You know, you can get into that, or you're like, because like where you're going into this. And that's why you get like different schools of thought, like say like in the East, or mystics who just kind of like no thought, just kind of just enter a state, you know, just meditate or whatever, get into a state where you're just, in a state of just pure perception and just kind of almost like ultra instinct judging, and like a Taoist, some Taoist masters are like that, where just like they just kind of act and react, no longer having to think, do things. So some people want that state because like I don't want to have to resolve, I don't want to have to discern consciously anymore, or volitionally with like my conscious mental activity. So the future makes different things difficult because like different people take different orientations, and there's ways in which we situate ourselves to be catalyzed, and we wait for ourselves to be catalyzed, and we aid the catalyzation. Yeah. So it's just like discerning these things, like it's different. It's interesting. And,
It just makes me think like, what did I do wrong? You know, it's like, but the thing is, nothing I do can, in what the Bible proposes, nothing I do can be right. So it's like,
no, what do you mean nothing that you do can be right?
Or like my works can't save me.
Okay.
My works can't lead me to faith.
Yeah.
Or my works can't lead me to a place where I can joyously worship him, because it's all him. He provides me all of that. You know, which is like really hard to wrap my head around too, because like,
I mean, in some ways you already have that situation with yourself. It's like your conscious mind didn't give birth to you right now, you know, like how you're thinking right now didn't like, oh, I'm thinking right now and I gave birth to myself in the past. Like, I mean, my mom, in fact, I made my mom give birth to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like people don't get, I call it like almost like the logic of embedding. Like you're embedding and stuff, and you could say they're concentrics of like or even like mediaries, like things like mediums, like this translates this, this translates this, translates this, and it's like as you're getting a sense like what's the largest container that's kind of like on, you could say a backdrop, like you could say the concentric circles are on like a paper, so it's like eventually you get to the paper that the concentric circles happen on, and so if you're just starting where you are and you're like, oh, how is it that I can be here, but yet I'm not all this? So it's just like, yet I'm trying to think as if I'm all of this to get how I'm here, and trying to see how all of this lets me be here. And it's like that's the struggle as a human being. Like your mind's doing different things, where it's like you're always like almost doing like a theory of mind for everything. Like this, like you can personify. So there's this feature like and the trickiest one is what I call impersonal narration, which is what our intellectual mind likes to do, where it's like we will not personally tell a story, like in the sense like, oh, what's the time this happened and I liked it and I felt like this, blah blah. We'll kind of be like, this what's going on, like almost like describing, you know, like unfolding, like a conclusion about how things work. Or we'll almost feel like, I mean, we will have intruder intuition. We feel like our eyes are on the wall with the best vantage to see the whole entire room. When we talk about, you could say, reality, so to speak. So it's just like tuning these different things and just getting a sense like you don't actually have a view from nowhere to see everywhere at every time and so on. You kind of just, you are who you are, where you are, and you're able to like kind of simulate and imagine and take things and put it together. Like there's a making and there's sense that you get, and there are different makings and there are different senses, and then different makings that work for a time and different senses that will last for a time. And you know, it becomes very interesting. Like I'm making a play on the when people say make sense of like just like how they express, and it's just fascinating. And the reason I'm doing this discussion right now, this meta discussion, is because like I feel like this is stuff that people do struggle with, that people don't usually tease into and talk about. Well, like how you put it is like you get this and you're just like, my ego's saying, but this is bullshit, because it's like there's like you're getting it's like because if you don't have quote unquote the categories for how a situation plays out, you'll hear something and then you hear another thing and you think they cancel each other out. So you're like, this doesn't make any sense. But it's like you won't know like, oh, this is actually contained in this. It's like because we have a home, we're not dead, because we're not getting killed by the environment. But because you have a home, you're being controlled, so you're not free in some sense. But you don't actually want to be free. You want to be free in a dome, in a home, so you can preserve yourself and keep going. People, let me put it this way, limitation. Lots of people talk about control or whatever. You get to a sense where they basically don't want to be limited, but they actually do want limits, because limits allow you to be what you are. Because without limitation, things keep... And there are different types of limitations. There's limitation where it's like there's a resistance, where it's like you can't go past a particular point. You kind of, there's resistance, you're just where you are. It's like you can't push through it as you are, because it shows you that it contains you. And then there's limitations such as like a threshold, like you're going through a door, where you go outside, oh, now you're outside and there's different ways of working. And there's also limitations as far as how you are, where you may go beyond how you're working, which is a type of, say, self-negation or transformation. So that's also a type of limitation. So the fact that we have one word limitation for different ways this process shows up, this is not even exhaustive, by the way, this is me giving a few. But if you don't, when you're talking, if you just think of it as like it's all resistance, without knowing the other processes, you won't be able to like tune how to think about it and how to talk about it. So that's why with almost every idea I get, it's like, okay, I'm getting this idea, I'm getting that too. So I lay it in my head and I was like, so I'm like, how is this working? And for me, I'm very literal, so I'm always like, if somebody says this, somebody says this, is there a way in which I can see this idea in the world? Because I'm always seeing, like you could say, I guess I'm very Aristotelian, where I'm just like, the form, the idea always actualizes in the world. So I'm just like, okay, there's a way in which, that's why I'm always like using situations as metaphors, like using you as a metaphor for the world and stuff, because there's a way in which, like I remember what Uncle Dave says, like everything is like a sign for, like to communicate to you something about God and how everything works. Or even Goethe said the same thing. He said like all things are impermanent or symbols of the eternal. Something he said like that. So with that in mind, it's just these situations, these ideas become fascinating, because like there's a feature of like you're trying to discern reality, but you're also trying to unfold as a particular self. But then you also see how like there's this attunement where even as reality is unfolding for you as far as your understanding goes, there are certain things like you may experience without that do not transform you. And then there's a way in which you may transform on the inside, but your experience has not changed. So it's just like, or at least external experience, like what's externalized out of you, because Hegel pointed out that what we call nature is just self-externalization, what is outside of your body, what's outside of your mind, and so to speak. So it's just fascinating that, and I'm saying this to you just to give you a sense like, oh, here are some, you could say, puzzle pieces, like blocks to like build things with. So I'll let you process that.
I don't know, my head is fogging up as we speak. Like I can see it. Like I can feel my eyes. Like this is no slight to you, but like I've always noticed that like maybe it's just like the process of
no. When I'm talking, you get sleepy, right?
Yeah.
And you know why? I actually suspect it's
because I'm dumb.
No. Because it's a spiritual process. Because I feel like remember I was telling you about deliverance.
Yeah.
Lots of people who happen because that used to happen to me when my mom was telling me something legit, whatever, or trying to process, especially with the Bible. I started getting sleepy.
Yeah.
In fact, I was especially during my psychosis, or when I was younger, it was trying to shut me down so I won't listen.
Yeah.
And in fact, Jackie Stout, the girl I told you about, who I sent you her videos, when she was doing deliverance, people were pointing out, "Oh, while you're talking, I'm starting to get sleepy. It's like I'm shutting down. Someone's trying to shut me down so I won't process what you're saying." And other people are like, "Oh, I feel foggy and whatever." So it's just like, if the biblical reality is the case, we know we wrestle not with flesh and blood.
Yeah, I mean, it's all spiritual for sure.
Yeah, there's a spiritual dimension.
Whenever I go to church too.
Yeah.
Or try to read the Bible.
Yeah, you start getting sleepy, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. See, so it's like you track the pattern.
No, I always knew.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But like, I try to like, I don't know if this is biblical, but take self responsibility. Like, oh, like maybe I should have slept more, or maybe I should be smarter.
Nah.
But,
I mean, you're saying you know it's spiritual, so it's like you just give it to Jesus. Be like, just pray to him. Be like, take over, help me get through this, and help me understand what's going on and stuff. In fact, what we should have done when we started is like to pray.
Yeah, we should
pray. Yeah, but
we can still pray.
Yeah, we're for right now.
Yeah.
All right, I guess I'll pray. Lord, thank you for bringing Tay over. Thank you for all that you do and for who you are, and all that you're clarifying for us, and for allowing us to share our struggles and where we're trying to tease out. And hopefully this will be a blessing to other people and help them process the things they're dealing with and work through confusions that they have. And no matter people's existential orientation, I pray that they take something from this and they get a sense of how people can think through certain things and struggle through certain things and try to work through the difficulties of being human and trying to figure out what is the case and how to be a person and so on. So I really appreciate you, and I hope you clarify things for Tay and you fight on his behalf and give us clarity in time and use all this that we're going through for your glory, for your clarity, and to act as a good testimony to clarify things to other people. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Yeah, it's one of those things. But yeah, it's just, so in fact that's one of the, I think that's also one of the problems, the fact that you have like, there's a network, there's a circuit of like different problems that are working against you right now that make it hard to get clarity.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, the more these verses confront me with like, or confirm to me like, yeah, like, basically you ain't shit. You know, like you have to rely on Jesus for everything.
Yeah.
And you have to pray for him, to literally ask him for everything, even down to your faith.
Yeah.
Which some people's, I mean, some Christians that I've been talking to speak about trust as if it's a decision that you can do.
It's to some degree it is, like it's given to you, but you also do it. It's kind of like how, let me put it this way. Your body, like you were born as a baby and you were breathing already. But now you're older and you can regulate your breathing. It's kind of how it is.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, like
you're giving yourself to work a certain way, but then you're giving yourself. That's why Paul was like being a living sacrifice.
Yeah.
So it's just like you're giving yourself to unfold a certain way, then give yourself back to what gave you yourself.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting process.
Yeah. So like, exactly, like I was with one of my dad's pastor.
Yeah.
Trying to talk through some like anyways, I was relaying to him like my struggle about this.
Okay.
And he was basically saying like, you either have faith or you don't. And you know, you just choose to trust God the same way when a child leaps into the hands of a mother, like the child just jumps.
Yeah.
So I just have to jump into Jesus.
Yeah.
So it's like, but like something's missing in there for me, because like I don't know why I can't just trust him, because I don't know if I can just say like God is prohibiting me from trusting Him.
No,
You know.
it's not. It's as far as I can tell, it's like spirits start fighting against you.
But also, like, how do I reconcile with verses that like say, God? I should have wrote this
Because
down.
the Bible is giving you the overall meta.
Yeah.
Then it's giving you like concentrics. Then it's giving you. Where it's like, as you, God wants you to be saved. But the overall meta is He knows everything, and He knows who will and who won't be saved.
Mm-hmm.
And but then you see it's like, well, then why did you? Because people ask. The reason why it answers that way is because people ask, why did God make this, knowing people would fail, knowing people would reject Him? And you'd be like, well, you say overall He made everything, knowing certain things would mess up.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it's like you could say you could attribute the blame to Him that you made it so some people would fail. So that's the larger meta of like the fact that He made things exist. Or even you can even focus on Jesus. It's like, why did God make it so He had to become human, become one of His creatures, to kill Himself, like get Himself killed as that creature, and then resurrect Himself? So you could be like, you made it so you hurt yourself. You know, like it's just like, so it's like you could say like that's the difficulty when you're reading the Bible sometimes, because it's like there's these like I almost put,
But the language made it so that it makes you think that way. It's like it says God hardened Pharaoh's heart.
Yeah.
Like the language is God did that.
Yeah.
So it's like it's unavoidable.
No, it's like
it makes someone think that God did that.
Yeah, I mean,
or allowed.
Yeah, allowed, and also, but there's also a sense in which Pharaoh was also hardening his own heart. So like remember, if you read Romans, it put as like God gave him away. I think I sent you a video on like God's wrath. I was putting. Did you watch it? You probably didn't watch it, but it talks about how like if God gives you yourself and He wants you to be a certain way, and you're like, I don't want to be that way, He'll let you unfold that way. It's kind of like, oh well, you chose this way of being, so now I will help you because I'm sustaining you. I'm letting you grow that way. So that's in a sense He's doing it.
In Hebrew, hardening is, I think, it's not as negative as English.
Yeah.
Hardening. It's like I think strengthening or like.
Yeah. It's kind of like you could say He's nurturing, growing. Like because if you think of ourselves as plants, like you can grow as this plant or you can grow as this plant. He wants you to grow as this plant, grow as wheat. Or you want to grow as tares? Okay, I'll still water you. You'll grow as tares, and then you'll grow as tares, and you'll be unweeded and destroyed.
Right.
So that's kind of how it's like. But the meta is like God made you and set it up so you like become a wheat or become tares. But He knew you become tares. You choose that. So that's the feature that's weird because it's like it gives you like this. It's like you get like you could say His view on it, but you also get your embedding in it. And if you try to make it so like, well, your view on it is like you made it knowing people wouldn't. Because I remember how I told you I was like there was a period I was like, well, I want everyone to be saved, and since everyone will be saved, I'm sad and I'm angry. And I was just like, well, that's making me ineffective. So because it's like my main value is I want everyone to be saved. So why don't I get saved and help save other people? And so that's being ineffective and being like, well, I may as well not get saved then. That's stupid because it's like I'm still choosing to not be saved, but it's like I could easily be saved and help people get saved. You get what I'm saying? It's kind of like there's a way in which it's almost as if like a knowledge of something, kind of like it's kind of like what people think of like with the particle. The particle duality was like, oh, if let me put it this way. There's a way in which a metric sometimes changes what it's measuring. Take an interview. If an interview is trying to like ask you something to measure and get the type of person you are, depending on how the interview is set up, it may change how you answer, depending on how the kind of person you are. Maybe you might be a kind of person who flourishes and expresses yourself truly versus how the interview is like. Or maybe a person who adapts to the interviewer, you see. So it's like there are different things that are going on where it's like, because of certain things that you know, you're tuning yourself in certain ways with what you know that you may not know adequately yet too. So there's this feature there, and that's what's fascinating about how the Bible said it, where it's like, in fact, the internet's like that, where it's like, oh, you see this channel, there's porn here, there's like people giving, like, Trump is prophesied to be president, and you get like all these different things here. It's all laid out in front of you, and by virtue of having all this access to stuff, it's kind of like, it's like lots of software to like work the hardware of like how you work, and it makes it all feel unimportant in some ways because you have all these options and all these ways to think through things, all this fool's gold and real gold and so on, and you have like, it's just a lot of stuff just with being human being, and that's what's going on with the Bible. It's like the fact that the Bible's laid out a whole set of things like beginning to end. You look at it just like, there's certain things it's saying about the whole and beginning and the end that I'm just like, it's not clicking with me because of where I am right now or how I want the beginning to be or how I want the end to be and so on. It's just like, it's kind of like it's like wrestling. You're wrestling with God, and it's like, or while trying to conform yourself to Him. And then there's like there are multiple domains that make you up and multiple domains that make up your life that each of these are tuning, and you're struggling and work with other people and so on. And it's just for me, it's just fascinating. I'm just in a state of like, oh, this is so interesting. But yeah, but it can also be stressful. But I just have gotten to a place where I'm just like, I'll see. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you kind of get where I'm coming from. But it's like, because I'm trying to give you, because like these things are very hard to talk about, and I'm giving
I
you.
understand.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand. There's a container.
Yeah.
I mean, that's God.
Yeah. God's more like the backdrop.
Okay.
Yeah, like you could say, like the container is like a concentric circle on a backdrop, because God's these are because they put a container like, oh, there's something outside of God. That's why I'm trying to use that metaphor.
I'm trying to.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. He is everything.
Yeah.
And not only that, he's outside of that.
Yeah.
He never ceases to exist. He's been existing.
Yeah.
I am, therefore I am.
Yeah.
And I think I understand somewhat the totality of that. It's like he is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that he is says that he desires for everyone to be saved.
Yes.
That's his desire.
Yeah.
He gave me the free will to choose.
Mm-hmm.
But also because he has the sovereign will to shape us how he wants to.
Yeah.
And I think he let me just read it. It was Romans 9:18-23. So then he has mercy on whomever he wills, and he hardens whomever he wills. You will say to me then, why does he still find fault?
Right.
For who can resist his will? But who are you, O man, to answer back to God? Will what is molded say to its molder, why have you made me like this? Has the potter no right over the clay? I mean, he does.
Yeah.
To make out of the same lump one vessel for honorable use and another for dishonorable use. What if God, desiring to show his wrath and to make known his power, has endured with much patience vassals of wrath prepared for destruction, in order to make known the riches of his glory for vassals of mercy, which he has prepared beforehand for glory. And he goes on to like equate that to like Israelites and the Gentiles. Like I think the analogy is that like the Israelites are the vassals.
I mean, we're all technically Jews right now,
right?
So it's like we got adopted. Like it's like because it's kind of like, I almost put it like it's a weird, interesting dynamic where it's like from our vantage and immediacy, it's open and dynamic,
right?
But from the background, everything's done. He already knows. So that dynamic of like almost like in the sense of like you could say total staticity due to completion, but in the midst of it, there's dynamism and change and things being open in ways that you can't expect, and things unfolding in certain ways. It's an interesting contrast. That's where I can put it.
So when he say things like, he can have mercy on whoever he wills and harden whoever he wills.
Yeah. Because let me put it in terms like rank of order, hierarchy of principles. First principle, he made all good. Like he wanted all to be saved. That's the first principle.
Yeah.
But he also knows, given other principles that are at work, why all won't be saved.
Yeah.
But he's responding at that level. Like it's almost like there's a multiple. Think of how like right now there's somebody who's a drug addict. He's trying to reach who will accept him. Somebody who's a drug addict who will overdose.
Yeah.
There's somebody who will never hear of Jesus, but they will follow the law in their heart. There's people who has heard of Jesus who will not follow the law, knowing what it's right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and yet he still has a particular way of working with each of them.
Right.
So it's like there's this. It's so hard to like think about. It's like you're getting like
then,
this. Yeah.
With him working particular ways with everyone, is everyone gonna be saved then?
That's the goal. Like the higher principle is like he wants everyone to be saved, but as you could say, as it spreads, as it drops down, he gets there are different interactions, if you will, different other situations are working out for why certain people will be saved and not be saved, but he still has a response to those levels. You get what I'm saying? Let me put it this way. Let me give you an example. This sounds too abstract, but it's like okay, let me put it this way. For me, like my own life. Okay, I have a prophecy on me to become a pastor. Yet, I know right now I could choose to become a pastor or not become a pastor. But depending on me becoming a pastor that does it well or not, he will respond in kind. But he knows how it will be completely. But I still know the life I'll live. And I still know that I can try to become the best pastor I can be and cling to him and love him. Or I can just ignore it and just do whatever or go to something else. But that feature allows, like, it's sort of like if you think of it like a choose your own adventure book, both things are already written if you get what I'm saying. So both options are there. So depending on which option you take, this is the response. This option you take, this is the response. But he's metaing out and showing that at this level, he already knows both responses. Right. And he'll deal with each in accord. But we're only taking this particular path right now. So trying to like keep that in your head kind of throws you off. It's hard to make metaphors for it, but it's just like because
no. Yeah. That metaphor makes perfect sense, but it doesn't satisfy me for some reason. There's something there that like it's.
Is there something you want
for me? Not want.
Okay.
Like something missing. Maybe it's
but,
this.
But you said there's something missing, so does it imply there's something that's missing that you want, that you think should be there, or something that is there that you don't want to be there?
No.
Okay.
Something that's there that it doesn't matter what I want or not.
Okay.
You know, it's something that's there that I want to discern.
Okay.
So that I don't disobey him.
Okay. I get that.
Because I want to understand this clearly, you know. I don't want to.
Right. Because I was going to bring up like another, you could say, philosophy that has a similar issue. In fact, that's similar in a weird way too, which is understandable because these are, I call them like totalizing ideas that imply you're covering all, which implies like there's weirdness at different, like there's different. Because if you like read the Bhagavad Gita, it's funny how I'm telling you, like Bhagavad Gita helped me understand the Bible better.
Yeah.
And how it's set up. Like Arjuna's situation was like he's dealing with like the incarnation of Vishnu, who's like in that particular philosophy, the great preserver god, the god of sustainer, who's an emergence of Brahman, and Brahman is like the foundation. No quality, ineffable. You can't understand him. You can't communicate him. Yet your soul, like what makes you, is identical to Brahman. So it's even weirder. So it's like there's different, like to say, substance-wise, you're the same. But as an activation and embodiment, you are being driven, powered by Vishnu, who is concretized in an embodiment as Krishna. So the situation is like, Krishna is like, you're in this war, Arjuna, and you're a warrior. And now you have to fight your family members and your friends. Arjuna has a breakdown. He's like, I can't do this. But then Krishna like gives him different options, like try to give him a sense like this is how you can understand this and how to situate yourself. So it's almost like he's trying to tune people. Like depending on who you are, this answer will help you. Depending on who you are, this answer will help you. But he's giving you all the different answers to approach it. He gives the option like, if you don't fight this war and you die, I'll laugh at you. You failed. You have to just understand different people have their own paths. Some of them have a path to devotion. Other people are warriors. Other people whatever. So it's just like this is just your path. You also have another option to understand that it's not you doing it. It's all me. Your car and I'm driving all of you. At the same time, he also points out like your death, all of it is in my hands. Like everything is taken care of already. So he puts us like that's why when Arjuna kind of basically asks him, what's your true form? He explodes into like from quick land. Lots of eyes and arms, you know, like eyes meaning omniscience, sees everything, and arms, and then the glorious light, powerful and whatever. And then he says that quote, that Schopenhauer, his translation says, I have now become death, destroyer of worlds. Meaning like, despite me also being life that preserves us all, I'm also the destroyer. So it's just like that situation, that story, I was like, oh, it's so interesting. Like the reframe, the setup of it, like the encapsulation of the setup of it kind of helped me get different categories like, oh, that's what's actually going on in the Bible too, but it's a lot, it's a different way, it's a different movie, but it's a similar genre, if you will.
What's the difference? The
difference is like, I mean, the most place to start, but the difference is like, how, you could say, things are translated, if you will, like how the signals are sent, which makes, or even how the music is played. It's hard to think of a metaphor, but it's like, I'm going to put it this way, Jesus and Krishna are both incarnations, but the difference is, Krishna makes it seem, if I'm remembering, like it makes it seem like, well, you don't actually matter at all, and in some ways you're an illusion. I'm more real, and like there's a sense like depending on, I guess, if you're studying, is like you're not going to live forever. You're going to reincarnate, or you're going to, you could say, become an ocean of Atman dissolving into the ocean of Brahman. So there's no, you could say, persistence overall. Jesus is like, no, I want you to be eternal with me, and I want you to become more like me, because I made you in my image.
Okay, that
you see, there's a difference. Like it's subtle, but it's like there's so like it's a different composition, it's a different art.
Yeah.
So like there's a similarity. That's why sometimes people are like, oh, these ideas are like, in fact, like even like the Trimurti and the Trinity. The Trimurti is like Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. Vishnu is like the preserver, sustainer. Brahma is like the creator, and Shiva is the destroyer. So people are like, oh, that's a Trinity. And like, no, they're no different ideas. You're just only paying attention to the 3 part because you're like, oh, I have this through line that can weave it through, but it's like, no, this is different cloth. And that's why I'm always like trying to think like what's actually going on, what's the technicality here, because it's like it's very easy to like just see similarity and be like, got it. It's like no. And people jump too fast like to unite things. I'm like, is this actually the same or are they different? I'm always asking, okay, I can see how they're similar, like they can share a family resemblance, but or even like 2 people who are not related, if you will, but they look similar. Like there's probably like a black guy who looks like you, but it's like, but he's black and you're like you both don't have the same mom. But people are like, you have the same mom, so, but it's like no. But of course, you can check like, well, technically we're all part of the same species. So of course, like, on one hand, you can say that because fundamentally, if you trace things back, the main foundation is what unifies all. We're all it's like matter being in space is unified by that space it's in. Us being in this house, we're all unified by being in this house. See, there are different ways to make unity. There's unity of like containment. There's unity of like communication. There's unity of like yeah, it's just fascinating. So this is one of those ways in which how do we put dots together? How do we tell stories and so on? Like yeah. Mm-hmm. Like so, I'm giving you that perspective to give you the sense like even this struggle you're having with the Bible, the different takes have their own things. Like no matter that's one of the things I come to realize like no matter what take you take to, there's always something weird. If Jesus is not real and this is all there is, then you end up you could probably deal with the Nietzschean take, which is a bit materialistic. But he's like, well, somehow intelligence. Well, because he said consciousness itself is a surface. It's not even deep. It's just you could say it's like an epiphenomenon. It's an effect of presence of matter, potency. And it's all in flux. So there's a way in which like you could almost argue like you don't matter, like rather you're not important. You're not as important as you think you are, and you're only here for so while, then you go away. Mm-hmm. But then Nietzsche also extended it. It was like, okay, let me give you this crazy thought experiment for you to whether hate or like your life. Or imagine you had to live every single detail of your life over and over again, infinite times. Would you say no? Or would you say yes? And Nietzsche tried to say yes. So that's the thought experiment. That's the reality that he presented as far as like he understands this. So you see how I'm saying like different takes kind of give you like different senses of what they are. They're all weird.
No, I mean there's mysteries to all of them.
Exactly, and I'm glad you got that. Of course, some of them claim to like all the mysteries are solved because they're like I've realized I'm everything and I'm in this permanent state that I can't show to anyone. So just take my word for it, bro. I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, you're basically
Jesus is saying take my word.
Yeah, he is, but he's also doing miracles too. And he's just like, and he's just kind of like, look, I got you, trust me. And it's true, like, and I get that because it is funny because it's like, and that's why people want to kill him. It's like, bro, really, you're
you're
God. Like what?
Yeah. It's like,
and then on the cross, because in fact, then the cross, those people's 2 responses, those thieves, it's like one of them is like, well, if you're really God, then save us both. What are you doing?
There's too many mysteries. It's like, yeah, man, it's really easy. My yoke is light. Just lean on me. And then the next thing he says is, the way is hard, the door is narrow.
Yeah, right.
Can't fit through it. It's like fitting a camel through a needle of the eye. I'm like, so which is it, bro?
No, you have to look at the technicalities.
Yeah.
Because notice you just blended verses. You brought the rich man. He said it's difficult for a rich man to enter it because.
But like we're all rich in a sense that we're all of the world. That's how I took it. Like rich as in like we all want something. We all puts like I noticed in my head like I want to put God on the top.
Yeah.
But there's always something that I'm putting on the top unconsciously. Yeah. That's why he said you can't do it. I have to renew your mind.
Exactly.
You literally cannot do it.
Yeah.
You're blind to your own sin. You cannot do it. So I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, okay, I'm trying my best to get out of my own way and be like, please renew my mind. Is it done?
It's working. It's a process. It's like unfolds. Yeah. But I mean, I think like me, you get impatient. Like we're just like, I want it now, or why can't I just be complete right now, or like I was telling my friend. I think I told my friend. Who did I tell? I was like, I need a state. Oh, I told Basha. I was like, the state I need to be in is what would help me get through what I'm dealing with right now.
No, but the thing is, like, it's not an impatience in the sense that I can control when my mind is renewed. Yeah. It's more like, how do I know when I'm being renewed, or like how do I know that I'm in rest now? Because it feels like I'm not leaning on Jesus, because there doesn't feel like rest. It feels like war, which is what it is.
Yeah.
In terms of spirituality.
I'm
losing it.
I know, I get what you're saying, but it's so interesting, like different tensions.
Yeah.
It's just like
it's like I'm accepting that like
yeah.
it's not up to me.
Mm-hmm.
But in that acceptance, something is arising that I can't put words to right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm accepting that, okay, like I am a sinner, like nothing I do, like even if I profess that like I believe in Jesus, there's still something in the background that makes me put something else above Jesus.
And you want to get rid of that right now?
Not right now. It's like
you feel like it's gonna interfere with you in the future, or what? Like what's actually?
It's like
what's the problem?
It's like the I feel like I will always be subconsciously putting something above Jesus.
Okay.
And I fear that I won't know. I'll be blind to it. I'll become like a Pharisee or something.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I guess
because like, and that's why I have to trust in Jesus to get rid of all that, to renew my mind.
But you're setting it up in a way that's kind of like, it's kind of like somebody's talking about, well, what's the subconscious of my subconscious? At some point it really becomes ridiculous. Like, no, just go with what you have consciously, what you're doing consciously, and then the subconscious will become tuned.
Sorry, what?
Like, because sometimes like there's only way sometimes people will talk with these things, like these doubts, which becomes like, what's the subconscious of my subconscious? What if the subconscious of my subconscious is not legit, like my subconscious is, but my conscious mind can't know it? It's like you're just like it's like you're moving the goalposts. That's kind of stuff to feel like.
Okay, so
yeah.
Let me make it more concretized. I want to put Jesus on the top.
Yeah, and I think you're doing that because that's what you're doing it right now. Yeah.
But because I'm having doubts, that doubt is saying that you're right. I want this changed now.
Yeah.
I want to put God in a box. But I can't get rid of that unless God changes my mind.
Yeah, and I would say that feature is fine. The fact that you're doubting, it's like I think that's the problem with like because I think lots of Christians have this quick cliche response like, no, don't doubt, just believe, just trust. It's like, no, it's like that guy who said help my unbelief. It's like he said unbelief. He's like, I believe. Like it's a weird tension in him. He's like, because I've seen you do miracles, but for some reason, for this miracle, I don't know if you can do it. That's basically, you can say that's kind of his struggle. He's like, you've worked for other people, but will you actually work for me? You see, it's like, I've seen other people say like, you've done this for them, and I've seen you probably do this right in front of me for other people. I'm not sure, will it work this time? It's kind of like the question of like, will the sun actually rise tomorrow?
Right.
It's like if you have that sense of like, it's possible this won't work. Or, well, then if you extend it's like, well, if it has not worked before, what if it never works? You see, like, there's a way in which you're kind of just projecting into the future and fixing it. There's a way in which, like, you're kind of like, not flowing. You're not, like, Bosch put it as, like, floating. She put it as, like, you have to, like, float and let...
Okay, how do I float with
like,
God?
like,
okay, so, I mean, one solution is that it's okay where you're at.
Yeah.
You come before the Lord humbly. You offer it up, like... You pray about it. You pray for faith.
Yeah.
I want faith. Help my unbelief.
Yeah.
Actually allow me.
I think it's also interesting how like you have like you could say the concentric of faith, but it's like it feels
concentric.
Like when I put it to concentric, you could say you feel like there's a core that's no faith, a core of doubt. It's like you're still it's still contained in faith, which allows you to pray.
Okay.
Because it's like there's this, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you didn't think there was no God, whatever, you wouldn't pray. It's like you completely like I don't doubt this, I don't accept this, reject it. You wouldn't waste time with it. You wouldn't even try at all.
Yeah.
So there's already a feature of like the overall larger is like I believe I'm contained in this. Like Jesus is legit. That's what I'm praying to him. But there's still like this core, so it hasn't like hit the core. So it's like you kind of get all the levels, but all the levels haven't been reached yet.
Yeah.
So it's like it's fascinating, and like people don't usually point this out. Like
And it was frustrating that like the pastor didn't get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And like you say, because like he's had faith since he was 7.
Exactly.
And that's a miracle.
Yeah.
Like, and he's never strayed from this. So when I was trying to explain this to him, like, you know, his answer is like have a childlike sense of faith. Like, it's easy.
Yeah.
You just either trust him or you don't. So, but for me, it's like I don't know how to explain this, but that doesn't work for me.
Right. Because you can almost put it as like in some ways they're kind of like you're a child who like is meeting a parent you didn't know was always taking care of you in the background.
Exactly.
So now you're like and then it's like, oh, I'll be right back. Like I went to go groceries. Like, wait, will you come back? Like, that's a stupid.
Are you gonna get milk?
Exactly. So it's just like
let me come with you.
but the person who like you could say knew that parent longer, like your other sibling who's like, oh, I know this parent
since
like,
day one.
Yeah, whatever. They're like, oh well, he always comes back when he gets milk. You see,
Yeah.
so but like, but will he actually come back? Because I've never been without him.
Yeah.
So it's like you almost have like a So it's kind of this is not exactly it, but you kind of So that's what I'm always trying to think of, like different, like how do I capture certain states? Because that's why I like this process, and that's why I decided to like become a pastor. Because I'm like I want to tease these things out. Because even if Christianity is not true, I want to get how a Christian will struggle in Christianity, if you get what I'm saying. So it's like, and then give it to outside people like this, what people can like struggle with. And I almost want to do this for like almost every single philosophy to be like this, how it works in this, what people are struggling with, and how people are tuning it, and to kind of make it transparent so people can like, oh, then we can empathize with each other better and communicate with each other better. Because it's like, no matter what you're in, you'll still have some sort of struggle, unless you're one of those like gurus, like blessed out or something, or you achieve nirvana or whatever, or at least pretend to.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing.
Yeah.
They truly seem to be in another state.
Yeah.
And truly be content.
Yeah.
But there's something there that we can talk about other time, but it's too much right now.
Right.
Okay.
In some ways, I feel like that all the time.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like I feel like different. Like I feel like I have a deep inner joy and laughter towards things. Like I feel like life is like one big laugh. But on the other hand, there's like this sense of like I feel like I'm not feeling other parts of me that I want to feel.
But would you characterize that as the outflowing of God's joy?
I would put it like that. Yeah, I feel like I have this inner joy, like this. It's like
where did it come from if it's not from you? Because the Bible says it's not from you.
It's not from me.
Yeah.
Like that's because it's like after as my psychosis was clearing up, and after I was like I'm in the center of God and stuff, all of a sudden I started healing and things started clearing up, and the more I get a sense of God's faithfulness, the more it increases, and it brings back my childlike sense of wonder that I used to have that always got me through life. That's why I keep saying it's so interesting this can happen. Like almost like because it's like when you hear that, you're like you don't understand. Like I live very much like this is so interesting, this is so cool. Like when a kid's like, whoa, or like I put it to my friends like I don't do drugs, so I feel like I'm naturally high sometimes. Most of the time, like if it wasn't for my depression, I'm a person who just naturally feels high. It's like this is cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do get like different emotional states, of course. But it's just like in general, I'm just like this is interesting. It's cool.
Yeah, no, I definitely, as someone who has been high before, the way you describe it, sounds like that.
Yeah.
That you're high.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like okay, so God works to glorify all things and all feelings. That one feeling is addiction. Well, I don't know if addiction is a feeling, but anyways, like He wants to glorify addiction.
In His way, yeah.
In His way, like
the
object that you're addicted should be Jesus.
Exactly. Yeah. Be addicted to me.
Yeah.
And addiction. Yeah.
And the high you're gonna get is
Jesus.
The glorious high.
Yeah.
That
the best orgasm, the best insight, all of that is just all in Jesus. Yeah. It's true. Like it's all there. Like it's kind of like he gives you like different flavors of stuff. Like I want achievement, glory. Like this sense like I did this and I accomplished. Okay, you get that high. I want intellectual insight, understanding. Okay, you get that high. Oh, I want intimacy, like this relationship. Like I feel so much. I love my wife. That there's that high. See, like, but he's like, it's all from me, through me, back to me. But the problem with humans is like, it's from him, through him, but we don't usually want to give it back to him. We just want to keep it as it is.
Give it back to him as in
like just
give thanks.
Yeah, give thanks, worship and stuff, and just like align with how he wants it to be.
Yeah.
Because lots of people, like I remember one of my friends, he's an atheist right now, but he's an ITP. His name's Caleb. He's pretty cool. And he shared this meme of like a picture of Jesus standing in front of the earth, and then he says something like, "Don't masturbate." So because they're trying to make like this is absurd. It's like given everything in the universe, why would not masturbating be important to you? I'm just like, actually, the irony is like that's why it's important to him. He didn't follow the logic of it. Like if he puts it like, oh, Jesus is like above the universe, yet he's focusing on don't masturbate. It's like no, that's why he's saying don't masturbate. He's literally in charge of everything. Do you not know what being making out things mean? Have you never made a work of art? Like, have you never made anything? You care about every single feature of it. All of it is yours. It belongs to you. You produce it. unless you just don't care. And your problem, the whole thing is like you don't want him to care about certain things, so you can have it for yourself. But what's interesting is like there are certain things that God allows and certain things that He doesn't. But He sets it up for you. Where it's like if I allow this, and you mess it up by doing something I don't allow, consequences. That's why He said, "I lay before you life and death." Life has blessings and glory and all this other stuff and joy. Death has misery, curses, depression, self-absorption, confusion, blah, 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 destruction.
Okay, so
yeah.
Now we're kind of back at where we started.
Yeah.
But okay, I want to bring this up. I should, before I lose it. Fuck. Okay, so there's an idea in the Bible that says once you reach a point where you admit, believe, and confess that you're a sinner, you can't do shit, and only God did it, and through no works of your own, no merit of your own, He gave it to you, and you receive it. Once you receive that, then you're good, in a sense that, like, you know, it should still produce works. But okay, so from that starting point, God will never harden your heart ever again. Is that true?
Yeah. Because He's, from that starting point, He's giving you a new heart. He's remaking your heart.
Okay.
And it's a process, like, He's changing it. Some people, essentially, some people get it, like, fast. Like, C.S. Lewis said he struggled. Remember, like, if you read it, remember Mere Christianity? Did you read that?
Who?
Mere Christianity, C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, struggling. I was like,
I love Mere Christianity.
He's like, something's pushing me to, like, accept you, but, like, do I want to? Like, what? Like, he said, like, he was like, he put it as, like, I was the most resistant person who's ever lived. I'm like, nah, bro, like, this is making sense from this, like, this part of me. He was like you, who was trying to feel and give in, but he's like, I don't want to give in, but it's like, it's still pulling me, and he's like, so it's just, everyone has their own thing.
That's why I think C.S. Lewis really pulled me.
Yeah.
Like, the simplicity, the honesty of Mere Christianity.
Yeah.
Oh my God, like,
I mean, he was a genius, and he was
eye-opening.
Yeah, he could clarify things very well. He just like, and he went through things in depth, like grief, like that book. I was like,
oh,
chest kiss.
Did you read it?
Yeah,
or did you listen to it?
I didn't finish it, but like I got halfway through it.
Was it called something about grief?
Yeah, I don't know.
An observance of grief.
Observance of grief. Yeah, and he's very like, he's just very honest and goes to like.
And he never intended to publish that.
Yeah.
It's like so interesting.
Yeah. In fact, I'm gonna send the group extras to my wife of Job, and you'll get this. I let Basha and different people read it. Well, Basha and Mariama right now are reading it. Well, it's in a group, but I'm pretty sure only those two are reading it. But you'll get a sense of like this dual way of taking the things.
Has your friends read the Bible?
Mariama's making her way through it.
Okay.
She's at Job right now, and I'm not sure if Basha's read the whole thing, but yeah. But there's just but she does know about Job, and she said she always felt sorry for Judas because she was like, oh, it feels like he was just kind of set up to like fail.
Was he set up?
Not really.
Well, how does she think?
Because she's having the problem that you had. Like, well, God made everything knowing Judas would betray Jesus. So it's just like, isn't like he almost like technically if you say like he's the material, the substance, the foundational cause by virtue of just allowing things to unfold so Judas would mess up in this way. Foundational cause by making things unfold so Lucifer would rebel against him. So all the bad stuff comes like, because that's what Job's wife said is like, look, all that you have experiencing is by your own hand. It's all your fault at the end of the day. But then Job like kind of leaves the technique like, yes, that's the larger, but it's like you can't use the larger to be like, therefore right now you won't become how he wants you to be. If you say you made everything to fail and you're like, therefore I'll fail, that's stupid because you're choosing to fail. Okay, it's not just being like, you made everything knowing certain things will fail, let me not fail. You see, like that's the option you have, but because you don't really know the whole. What's is weird because it's like we have this. It's like he made it knowing who will fail and not fail, but we sometimes feel like, how can we get it so no one loses? And that frustrates us, like the fact that we know certain people will lose. But as a result, if you're stupid like me, you'd be like, because somebody, just one person will lose, I'm gonna fail too. I'm gonna lose too. And it's like, when it's like, but no, why don't you try to win so you can get more people to win?
So, against the odds of me failing, I will strive to win in spite of that.
Yeah,
is the spirit.
No,
of Christianity.
I wouldn't say against the odds because there's no odds against you. The odds are in your favor if you know.
Okay.
It's like, because especially when it's so weird. It's such a weird structure. Because the fact that Jesus is walking on earth, right, talking to people and be like, he'll say things. And some people get pissed off. Some people accept them.
Yeah.
Some people understand. People don't understand.
Yeah.
And then there's certain things he clarifies for certain people, and then those people clarify for other people eventually.
Yeah.
Certain things that he says he doesn't clarify for other people.
Yeah.
And
What was the
those
thing that one of the apostles said about why are you speaking in
parables?
Proverbs? Parables?
Yeah. And he was like, oh, so some people won't get it, and some people will get it. But it's like, but the complete thought is like, those who get it will go back to them and let them get it. You see, like it's really interesting how like there's a weird procedure, and he's always doing that. Even like take the person like who was blind. If you remember that passage, it was like there's this blind man sitting outside the temple, and everyone was asking, like, why is this person blind? Is it because of things his parents did, like their sins, or is it because of his sins, or whatever? And he was like, no, it was just for God's glory. Like right now, he was blind just for me to pass by, and for you guys to say this, and for y'all to record what you're saying right now, and for me to heal him, and then for him to go and tell the Pharisees, and then especially other blind people, and make this whole situation come up.
Just thinking like if he's around right now, he's like, hey yo, this is gonna be fire. Put on that TikTok real quick.
I mean,
glory.
that's kind of how it feels like sometimes. It's kind of funny, but yeah.
Hey yo, hit record.
Hey yo, Big G.
With Hop G.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, that's one frame you can put on it because it is funny. Like that's why I said like there's a part of me that just feels like life is like one big laugh. There's a comedy dimension to it. This was another feature like this is so tragic.
Yeah.
This is so horrible.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah, it's so like and that feature is there, and like you'll see that in Wife of Job, and you'll see that even like this player wrote. There's this sense of like I just have both in me. This sense of like this deep, painful tragedy. This stuff like, and then this sense like this is so cool. This is so interesting. This is so beautiful. And they're both playing around.
What was the word called? Divine Comedy?
Yeah, Dante's Inferno. Yeah.
Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, I mean that's a feature of the Divine Comedy. Yeah, Dante's Divine Comedy. Which and the comedy doesn't mean like laugh haha. But the comedy was more like almost put as like you could put it as like a reconciliation, like attempts to like because like even in Shakespeare comedies, they're not comedies because you laugh. They're comedies because there's a marriage that happens at the end. Things heal because like during the comedies things start out a certain way, then chaos happens in the middle, then it coalesces and starts. But through as it progresses, he actually does or certain things like gives us a sense of continuity. It's like it ended well, but there's still some tension. There's potential negative for so life goes on. So
comedy is just where the author chooses to end it.
In a sense, well, for those works, yeah. But in real time, we get all genres.
Yeah.
And they cross-pollinate, contaminate.
The Bible, at least right now, it's a tragedy the way that Revelation leaves it open-ended.
Yeah.
But no, actually,
it is
a comedy.
Yeah, it's lots of genres, yeah.
It's gonna coalesce into the heaven on earth.
Yeah.
So there is a...
Yeah. I mean, there's a marriage. I mean, Christ is coming back. The church is the bride. The second Adam is marrying Eve.
Right.
So if you think of it in terms of Shakespearean comedy, it's like when it ends with marriage. So, but the multiple genres, because at the same time, there's like people who won't be invited to the wedding. So for them, it's tragic.
Yeah.
And in fact, like remember, he gave a parable of like, look, he had like people go out, like there was a king who invited people to come to the banquet, and those people were like, no, F you, whatever. So then he was like, okay, I'll send my service, go and grab random poor people, grab homeless people, grab anyone, just anyone who people wouldn't think, and bring them to my kingdom, and we'll have the dinner together. And that's what Jesus is doing. So sometimes people try to feel like, oh, he made it so everyone would suck. It's like, do you realize he's bringing people who you wouldn't even like, people who are just low quality, the worst of the worst, like people you wouldn't even expect you would think be kept out. It's not as if he's saying, I'm bringing the best of the best. In some ways he's like, I'm bringing the worst of the worst and honoring them. And in some ways, those who think they're the best, they miss the point. Those who think they're wise, they don't get they're stupid. Mm-hmm. Like he's like, I made it so children will get it.
Right.
That's why children come to me.
Right, and that same feature is like God chose His chosen people out of the world of sinners. Yeah. And He chose the Israelites, not of their own merit.
Yeah, because he's like, there's nothing special about y'all. In fact, y'all were small. Like, he's got, if you're paying attention, he's kind of dissing them. He's like, y'all ain't shit. Like, I could have chose the Chinese. Like,
damn, they're even smaller than the Chinese. Yeah. That makes me feel good.
It's hilarious. I mean, when you read it, it's hilarious because it's like throughout it, and you kind of proves it. It's like, look at you people. You people keep messing up. Y'all stiff necked. It's like this. Like the version is like, I have to do it myself. I'll come in and I'll do it myself. Yeah. It's crazy, but
the Gentiles.
The Gentiles is everyone who's not Jewish. That's why Gentiles.
No.
Gentile, yeah.
Now are we?
Now we're
also destined to fail. Like
no, we're now you could say the Jews in spirit, if you will, the descendants of Abraham. We become adopted. Remember, Jesus has adopted us into His Father's kingdom.
Yeah.
Because it's like there's a way in which like God set up themes and then He weaves them through and then He like integrates them into Himself. That's the largest overarching idea. He's like unifying things in Himself.
Okay, so my thing is, there's a pattern to it.
Yeah.
Are we gonna have the doomed pattern of Israelites
Well,
true?
some of us are, because that's why the Bible set up to show like why certain Christians will
Yeah,
fail.
because the majority will fail.
Yeah, like it's
That's
never.
the theme.
Yeah. Or rather, it's not. It's a theme because that's how human beings are. But it doesn't have to work that way. In fact, honestly, it could be like, imagine if like somehow we send on social media and we're able to reach all tribes. Like Jesus is legit. And everyone's like, oh, cool, we accept Jesus. And now it's like, oh,
Right.
now it's okay. But then imagine we do. Everyone does that. Then they give birth, and then the next generation is like, screw this.
No, that always happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it works. It's like it's dynamic. It's not fixed. So it's like, in fact, I put it as like, oh, people want world peace. Like imagine everyone in the world's like, kumbaya, my lord. You know, like we're all like kumbaya. And then we give birth, and then somebody's like, I don't like this person.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you like this person? Well, because I just want to be special. What do you mean want to be special? Like this person is too much for me. I want to be better than them. Oh, okay. Just let's love them. No, screw that. It's like I want to stay away from this person. Then people are like, try to love him. It's like, don't tell me what to do, bro. And then people are like, don't yell at him. And like, it's just like remember that parable of hell I gave you, with like the chopsticks, people trying to feed themselves, and then they end up messing up the table and everything while they're feeding each other. It's like ego will take over. Ego to want to differentiate, to be special, or to take over, or to push people away, and so on. That's why like Jesus puts that core is like, you want to have a heart of service, a heart of humility, a heart of love and caring, and a heart of gentleness. All these different things, because it's like that's what weaves things together well. So there will not be put it this way: the theme of Cain killing Abel, that unfolding of like brother killing brother. That's
so God made it in a way that statistically majority would fail.
Yeah.
And there's something in that was merit, that merited him making us this way. That's the mystery, right? The fact that majority will fail, and he knows that from that simple fact alone, a lot of people are gonna go away from him. Yeah. But he still made it that way.
Yeah. I mean, even without it, like even taking God out of it, look at nature. Look, you know how many botched. Like if you pay attention, if you learn about the evolution idea, theory of evolution, so much death, bro, so much waste.
Yeah, except
like
that didn't happen.
Well, but it's like, but my point is like, different things. In fact, I mean, you could put like a high principle, like quality always. There are more ways for things to mess up than to go well. That's just how it is. That's just how anything works.
Yeah.
Like even a Pareto distribution, like so it's like 80, like 20 better than 80. So it's like there's always quality is always exclusive.
Right.
Because in fact, even now, like most people would rather be mediocre.
Right.
So,
but by him sharing the news, such a simple that's why it's called good news.
Like, the gospel, good news,
You don't have to do shit, just believe in it.
Yeah, accept me, just accept me. Repent, change your mind, accept my purpose for you.
That's the simplest.
But yet all this stuff has come through. It's like texture and confuse and pull people away and all this stuff. And then what's even more? In fact, that's what pissed me off most. I was like, it's hard enough that you come to this world and you're ignorant and you're weak, and then you deal with other people who are whatever. But then you have like invisible predators, like Satan and his like angel and all his demons and other shit doing things, influencing people. It's like, why is it so hard? It's like, I was like, this game is like, it's like put in hard mode.
Yeah.
But then it's like at the same time he's voting. He's like, oh, it's a war, and like the fact that he comes in, it's like because it's set on difficult mode and you win, more glory. So it's just like the fact that you beat it on hard mode, it like makes it even more cool. Because he has you could say our evaluative metrics for how we determine, oh, this is great. Mm-hmm. And great victories always imply great challenges. I mean, take the 300, the movie 300. 300 Spartans going against like a Persian army and beating the crap out of them.
Okay.
That's why we remember, like, this is awesome. Like, against all odds, they're still like dominating. Or even like in the Bible, like David's mighty men. Like there was only a few of David's men, and they would like wipe out a bunch of people because they were strong like crazy. And after they went, they're like, yeah, we're cool. Thank God, amen, amen. You know.
But okay, so my question is, by him essentially dying to give us the cheat code to win, it's still weird how that cheat code.
I know. Ironically, that cheat code
makes it more harder. To win.
Well, not. It's more like. It's like
it stumbles people. It's like
in fact, I mean, you've read that verse.
That's
right?
a stumbling.
It's a stumbling block. It's a stumbling block. It's
for
like
the Israelites
and for the Greeks. Like he puts like, oh, the Greeks, like the Romans want glory. They want like awesomeness, because you could say they're sons of Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar and stuff like that. Like, oh, how do we do something really cool? And they're very practical. How do we make things work? The Greeks want wisdom, like, oh, how do I understand things? Enlightenment, clarity, rationality, and stuff. And the Jews want like, wait, aren't you supposed to be Messiah? How are you the Messiah? What's going on? You're not. This counter to what we were expecting. Like, you're not following what we like. It's just not constantly the way we thought.
Right.
So it's like all of them are just like, God's like, look, I'm not reducible to none of y'all. Okay, this is me. I'm working this.
Yeah.
You conform to me. So at every mode, you like God makes even in like look at Exodus. That's a good metaphor for what God's doing. You don't know what a promised land is. They don't know what they'll have to go through. Yet he's like, trust me. And yet along the way, he's doing miracles for them. Yet they're still grumbling. This food sucks. If only we went back to Egypt and we're slaves still. What? We're slaves and getting beat up, but at least we had meat and all this good food. And it's like, what? And then God speaks to him. It's like, okay, let me speak to y'all. Then they got scared, like, oh no, he's too scary. Moses, okay, you talk to him alone and we'll just chill back here. Okay, Moses like, okay, cool. I'll go up the mountain. I'm gonna talk to him and get the laws. And then he's like, Moses like, oh, Moses is gone for too long. Okay, you know what we're gonna do? Let's take our gold and let's make it into a calf that fits into our culture to represent Yahweh. Or whatever, or rather to treat it as if it's Yahweh and let's worship it, even though he literally just gave us the law, like don't do this. But let's do it anyway because Moses is gone and maybe this wasn't legit. Let's try to figure out our way. Moses come back. It's like, really, dudes? Like I just left for. All you have to do is wait. You guys just said you were afraid. We could have done this the easy way if you just let him speak to us. But y'all were afraid. Y'all said, let me do it myself. I leave for a while and y'all are already messing up. So Moses got mad. He's like breaks the stones and then it's just and then even poor Moses.
Yeah.
He gets so frustrated
Yeah.
throughout this whole problem. That he like his ego takes over where like he doesn't follow God's instructions, hits a stone. He's like, look what I did for you. He didn't give credit to God, and God's like, bruh, you've been with me this whole time. I've been doing it for you. You let your anger take over at just one moment when it's like you're almost there, and now you can't go to the land. You have to die. Oh, it's just but it's not like you're going to hell or whatever. It's like you're still coming to me, but it's like you didn't achieve your goal.
Yeah.
You got close enough, and other people are going. Josh will take it.
The way he describes it animates the story for me.
Exactly.
It's like.
And that's why I'm describing the way, man, because like you don't fully get it. Because like
when he
like,
breaks the stone, it like
yeah,
it doesn't say he breaks it out of anger.
Yeah,
it's like but that makes sense.
Yeah, because he was frustrated. He was like, look, he's just like because Moses. I mean, he's a quick tempered guy, but he has a gentleness to him.
Yeah, he killed
like,
an Egyptian.
Oh yeah, he killed an Egyptian. Yeah, exactly. And he broke the stone, so he came back and he saw like it's like he's like I mean he's a guy who gets frustrated when like something doesn't go right or when he sees something wrong, he tries to fix it. But in that moment when he tries like. When he got frustrated, he just like he didn't obey God. He did it his way for that moment because he wasn't thinking. And then after he did it, he took credit for it because he was just like, I want you people to shut up. It's always like pressure. In fact, there were many times when Moses was like, God, please just kill me. I don't want to deal with these people anymore. They're always complaining, always whining, despite all that you're doing. And sometimes they try to kill me. Like they get mad. Then they try to rebel and kill me. They're like, is God actually working? It's like, bro, what is wrong? Do you not have any eyes? Like, look at all the stuff we're going through. Pillar of fire, cloud, split sea, food, quails coming. It's like. You don't get like we're in touch with something that's working us, and yet you're all still don't get it. And then God even sometimes he was like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of all these people and just continue Abraham's promise through you, Moses, like just through your family. And they was like, Moses, no, don't do it, because if you do it, people outside the nations will be like, he got them out of Egypt and he killed them. it'll look bad on you, God. It just won't look right. It's like God was like, good, you understand why I won't kill him. Let's keep going.
Okay, so if Moses would have agreed with God, he would have failed. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what is happening. It's more like take the situation with Abraham, right? Well, like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
When he's like,
There's a feature there that humans can negotiate.
Yeah, he sets the situation as like, oh, tell me. It was like Cain and Abel. It was like, or even Adam and Eve, like, where are you? Or Cain, where's Abel? He knows what's going on. He's like, he's kind of doing like a teaching experience, and he lets you get a sense of how he's like. Take a look, Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay,
Yeah, 10.
Okay, from like 50 to 10 or something. Okay, if there are 10 people, I won't kill them all, or like I won't wipe them out. Less than 10 people. Now, fast forward to Jesus. One righteous person saves everyone. You see? So he's just like, look, I set this theme up to give you a sense, and now I'll show you how I'm even beyond that. Like you guys thought I was gracious by reducing it to 10. I can reduce it to 1, and it's me, and I'm sacrificing myself to work it all out.
Yeah, because the Romans verse is talking about how like he made a pot that was meant to be destroyed.
Yeah.
But he endured with patience and choose to glorify himself or something by not destroying it and showing mercy.
Yeah.
And that pot is what the Israelites are now.
Yeah, now
the Gentiles.
Yeah, Christians. Yeah, something pure power of Jesus. Because I guess there's a weird way in which there's a paradox. It's a paradox. It's like from the backdrop, it's all complete, but from within, it's dynamic and open. So as a result, it's like, but it's kind of like, since God is the completion, all potentials are covered. You see what I mean? And that's what we're struggling with, because potentials are by nature open when you're in the midst of them. But if you're out of it, it's all complete. Right. So the fact that you're struggling, like, well, he made it knowing the potential. It's like, yeah, but by virtue of being and like being the foundation for existence, no matter what he made, it would be some sort of way. Unless he made it like, it'll just be like this and be like this. Like he just made like, oh, everyone will always know me and whatever. But it's like that loses the feature of, you could say, choice and being able to show his mercy, being able to show his glory. Like this is like letting himself unfold through a process, so you can get a sense of him being realized, to be known by, like it just is like the infinite, making the finite in itself, for the finite to understand the nature of the infinite. So like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just fascinating. Where it's like, I'm just thinking like a metaphor. It's like,
okay,
like because from our end, if we did it, it would be narcissistic because we're finite. But from his end, it's actually him being humble, because he's like reducing himself, like making a smaller image. Like you could say a smaller, like, oh, let me give you like a small version of me that I unfold my largeness in comparison to, if you get what I'm saying. So that's why when people are like, oh, God's being consistent, he's all like, worship me. It's like, why would you not worship the foundation for existence? Like every awesome given that you're like, whoa, Kobe's like, oh, or like, you know, all this stuff. It's like, he made them. He's worthy of it. He's beyond it. It all goes to him. Because that's why, but at the same time, as a result, we twist it to be like, well, we won't give him the due for the good. We'll give him the due for the bad. It's interesting how like human beings work. It's like, well, all the bad came from you because you technically made everything. But it's like, yeah, but he made it in the sense like he set it up so certain things would unfold in a certain way, and even bad things would happen to him. So it would bring good out of everything. But he knows, given for whatever, I don't know what it is, like for whatever reason, agency. It's the ability to choose, the ability to be conscious, the ability to like work in a certain way, like allows error. By allowing variation that can move, you can, I mean, think of it this way. There's a future to being human that's not just life affirmed, but also life negating. Mm-hmm. There's a future of being human that's pro-human and anti-human. So it's like he's giving you like the possibilities of like that comes with any that exists. And that feature allows complex interactions, where it's like you may get rid of parts of you, or you can preserve other parts of you. You may get rid of parts of you that are good, get rid of parts of you that are bad. You can get rid of parts of you that are bad, or keep parts of you that are good. So you get all this variation. So all this textures out and creates lots of complexity. But sometimes I feel like when people talk about why couldn't you just make it this way, it's because you get honestly less novels, you get less variation, and your borderline get more homogeneity, you get more sameness, and as a result, it's not as, I guess almost you could say it's not as creative, if you will. That's one of the ways I can frame it in terms of like thinking about it. At least from my end, when I think about the stuff that I make and the things that I write and how I think about things.
I mean, like metaphorically speaking, like because he is infinite, he is time.
Yeah.
It's already created.
Yeah.
But for us, we're experiencing the limitation of time.
Yeah.
We think that, why is it taking so long?
Yeah.
But he's already
at the same time
made the variations and the things that enjoy him.
Yeah, yeah. But we don't just say it's taking so long. We also say, some of us say, it's too fast. Why do we die so fast? Different people say different things. Even what you're saying, there's still variations. That's what's so fascinating about this. The fact that there's just almost any and every way you can think about things is all there. Yet there's still rules, there's still constraints, there's still constants that keep things a particular game. Yet, at least thinking-wise and orientation-wise, like these patterns, like the patterns are more in the details, not necessarily in the forms. There's like a variation on like themes, but the details can always be tweaked in some way. It's fascinating. And this is me like kind of borrowing from Plato and Aristotle. So it's because, yeah.
There was a thought that came up that I think probably came from Satan.
Hey, share it.
It's like, eat the babies. No, I'm just kidding. What is it? It's slipping. So the one, remember you said like for the atheists, like how can they make like claims about something when they were never there? Like let's say the Big Bang being like a mindless causal effect, or mindless cause that caused like evolution to happen, DNA, all that, even though they weren't there to confirm it. So applying that to Christianity, like, and I know like ways to like debunk this a bit.
Of course, yeah.
But
that's good. It's fair. I like that.
But like,
yeah.
How can I be confident that
There wasn't.
God was before everything, and He always was.
Remember how I told you I made you the joke of like, oh, what if God says He's eternal, but we never experience eternity? You say, oh no, He's like, I'm almost eternal. Eternal's like, hey, we're in heaven. Oh, guys, bad news. I'm about to die right now. I made that joke. I'm actually the character who wrote that because he used to make. He was Mephistopheles. He's like my devil, but he used to make like crazy jokes like that. I was like, I never thought of that, but yeah, he used to make like jokes like that because he's the devil, but he's charming. He's very funny. Like, it was just say things like I would never have thought of that, but he casts doubts in a funny way, and it's just like. But eventually, I just think about it, like, it's kind of like because the Bible puts like faith comes by hearing. You know, there's a sense like you're given a proposition, and you take it and you go with it. Mm-hmm. You can always like doubt it. You can always take a different proposition. But it's like with certain things, it's just there's a way in which it's always faith is always there. Like there's just certain like you just like I remember I told him how like I was reading the History of Materialism by Frederick Lange, who talked about eternal laws of nature. I was like, that's very mystical. Like what makes you think it's eternal? Like what does that even mean? Like you never experienced eternity, and it's just kind of like you're just kind of extending what we're familiar with and that we've inherited usually throughout human history as far as we're writing, and then totalizing it.
Yeah. Which is what we're doing with the Bible.
Yeah, and in fact, what's fascinating is like the Bible invites that. Like it's like it sounds like a.
So do other philosophies.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the feature of just existing. Just since like the mind just. I mean, like I was talking to one of my friends who's a Buddhist, and he's like, "Well, the mind makes its own reality." I was like, "Yes, but the mind also comes from reality and engages reality and so on." So it's just like the mind makes its own reality. Yeah, it says the mind. You see, even the body is a representation of the mind. Like technically, when you look at yourself, you're actually flipped upside down, but then your brain turns up around. It's really weird. Yeah, it's trippy. But it's like there's a way in which the setup, like the direct immediacy, isn't always technically what's going on.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one thing that kind of blew my mind when I found out about this. Like,
what?
Not only is there like a fine tuning in like, let's say your eyes.
Yeah.
Like, every like it's like down to the detail. Like.
Yeah. Continue. I was gonna say something else, but yeah, continue. Yeah.
Even to the like, God even thought about how it takes time.
Yeah.
For the image to enter your eyes, for your brain to process it,
yeah.
pre-process it, and then process it. And then spit it back into your brain to register that image, the color and everything, and depth and all that information. And
what's crazy is also you're predicting. You almost like make up the world before it happens too.
Yeah.
So you're tracing things. So that's why in fact, my sensor condition always done that to me. I literally pre-see, like my brain makes up things to see before I see it. But I see the process in slow motion, so I'm always misseeing things almost initially, and then things are coming right. It's really interesting.
So it's actually showing. This is so strange. So what you just said is, it's showing you what your brain is actually seeing.
Yeah.
By eliminating the predictive element of your brain.
Yeah, it's making it hard. Yeah. In fact, I told my friend Joshua, he was talking about, you're getting the architect of your neurology because you have a pre-motor cortex, not just a motor cortex. Like your movements actually happen in your brain before they actually actualize.
Yeah.
And in fact, I noticed like most of the things, that's why I use the word affordance, like I just forgot the name. He's one of my favorite perception psychologists, but he points out how like a handle, like a cup affords for you to hold it. My body, how I'm moving around, I'm kind of like a Bosch used a metaphor of like blind people who can still navigate the environment by reacting, but they can't see it. That's kind of how I feel like constantly. It was like it's just like the ways in which your body naturally engages activates before I've actually seen and processed and thought about it. And most of the time I can't actually pre-think things before I do them. I'm too reacting to happen before I'm supposed to like. So it's very fascinating. Where it's like I'm almost like a walking reflex in many ways. Yeah. Where it's like, give me something. If I'm supposed to grab it, I'll grab it first, even if it's an illusion or something. Or there's always this tuning and this kind of learning, and this feature of it makes it so interesting to me. I was like, okay, these are things I took for granted because I came to like get a. Because another way is like I actually learned how to see my face as my face when I was psychotic because it would laugh using my face. I would look in the mirror and like imagine looking in the mirror like as an observer inside and your face just laughing, ha 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 ha, and it was like freak and just like making faces and acting weird. And I was looking, I was like, it's interesting. I learned how to couple me activating my face moving with me seeing myself in the mirror to know it's me. But now that it's unlocked, there's this weird, interesting disconnect to be like, I actually learned how to do this. I forgot that I took this for granted. There was this communication and tuning that I took for granted with stuff. And it's actually like it's disrupted when you lose the order, when you lose the logos. Yeah. You get a sense like, ooh, okay. Yeah.
It's really strange.
Yeah.
And it's all automatic.
Yeah.
The fact that you lose that automatic process.
Yeah.
Because, like, we do take it for granted and it's invisible. Like, the fact that, like, I think the metric is like 100 nanoseconds for the synapse to fire.
Yeah.
So like, let's say like a ball, the ball would have traveled quite a like if you play tennis, it would have traveled a long distance by then.
Yeah.
So your eyes and your brains predict where the ball will be at 100 nanoseconds later and show you that image.
Yeah. Or sometimes they won't even show you. Sometimes they just move.
Yeah.
So it's just like, because they're different. You're made up of different systems, different domains, different circuits. And in fact, I notice that sometimes I'll be looking at something like, the circuits isn't turning on. Like the parts of the brain that I know, I'm like, that's not activating. Or these neurons aren't coming on. I'm like, it's lagging. Or this is one of those things frustrates me so much. You know how like you get signals to your brain when you look at something like, oh, this is what's going on? I rarely get signals anymore. Everything is literally like, I'm seeing, but I'm not getting a signal. So it's like, I have to choose to do something. It's kind of like, this is about to fall, right? I see it about to fall, but I don't register it. It's like, it's weird how like there's different processes actually. I don't register it about to fall. I have to like, the fact that I'm seeing it, and like I have to will myself to be like, you see it about to fall, even though you're not getting a signal to stop it or don't stop it. But you have to make yourself stop it because you know, a part of you knows you don't want it to fall and break. So you get what I'm saying? There's like this interesting, like this automatic feature of signaling of being cued to respond to the world isn't happening. So I have to like consciously will it to happen, and it feels weird constantly.
Couldn't that be interpreted as you just have a slow reflex?
No, because my reflex is happening without me.
Right.
But that's not reflex. This is interpretation, understanding. Right. I'm not getting the signal of understanding. I'm seeing it, but it's like I have to like. It's almost like you have like.
But does your reflex still take over and catch it? In this
only if sometimes if I'm close enough. But it's kind of like using carts, like using the machine outside. It's like I don't know. It's so hard to explain. It's just because it just tells me like you're made up of different circuits. You experience yourself as a unity, but you're made up. You're a communication. Yeah. You're a conversation with yourself. That's how every system is working with you. You know, your particular order or constellation, if you will. Your symphony, your music. So sometimes it's like, oh, I'm waiting for the strings coming. Oh, the strings didn't come in. Okay, there's this weird gap. Okay, I'll fill in with flutes. So that's kind of what I'm doing sometimes. It's like, whatever. So it's just like always constant adjusting, and just knowing, well, this won't come on, so I have to compensate in this way. Or I won't be able to do this right now, or I can't do this right now, or so on. And it's just, but it's like I told you how like it's like a psychological Siamese twin. My will and my observer, consciousness, whatever, and then my autonomic system, how my body naturally works, hence the reflexes. That works on its own. In fact, that's stronger than my will. In fact, I move faster when my body reacts than me. I can will it to move. So when before, it felt like they were both equal speed, though the reflexes are always faster because it's your body doing. Your body is wiser than your conscious mind. Well, you can train it and get to that point, like Shaolin monks and Bruce Lee or whatever. But you know, in general, so it's just one of those things. And yeah, it's just fascinating. It just teaches you so much about stuff that you take for granted. And this feature is why you can say in the East they kind of like everything is Maya, everything's an illusion. With Nietzsche was like, that's stupid. That's like you're saying your senses are an illusion of the senses. Like he's like, that's stupid. Like that's an absurdity. How can your senses be an illusion of your senses? What are you noting is an illusion if not your senses? So he was just like, that's stupid. Right. Yeah. So yeah.
I mean, they're kind of correct in the sense that your brain has already pre-registered everything.
Yeah, but like because you're getting the technicalities, right? But it's like there's this way in which they say it as if like, because it's like, well, my Buddhist friend was like, well, the mind makes its own reality. I'm like, yes, says the mind. How do you know like that's not like because the implication is that what the mind makes isn't real.
Yeah.
Or like
but it shows you like a projected image based on what was real.
Exactly. So that's why I put it as like it's communication. It's attractive. Like because causality, I put it as like it's communication. So if you don't, that's why I try to always make things technical, like characterize what's going on and stuff. But if you just kind of make it like people like say these aphorisms, these rules, it's like, well, how does this actually play out? Like almost like I want you to like digitalize it or like give me a sense of it unfolding like in real time. Give me how it works. Don't just tell me it and then be like, okay, that's just hanging out. In fact, that's what the problem you're having with the Bible sometimes. Somebody talk to them like, I'll give you this metaphor, or like, let me show you this and stuff, so you can tease things out. Because there's a way in which there's certain statements or even certain insights that we say that make our brains feel smooth. They don't feel like they don't feel like they have bridges. And so
on that note, I think I'm gonna pee real quick.
Okay, should we pause it? Yeah. I need to see how much time we have. Wrong. I'm like, no. Ask. Oh, have you started it?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll continue. I'll say it while you're playing it.
It's playing.
Okay. Like, I remember I was talking to my friend Caleb, the ITP, and he would put it as like one time I was telling him how like people, there's a way in which if you ask a question, it frames the activity in a certain way that may make it difficult or easy, or make it difficult in an easy way, or easy in a difficult way. Which sounds weird, but let me put it this way. Sometimes people ask a question like, "What if you're wrong?" I'm like, "Well, then I'm wrong." Like that's how I'll say it. But it's like what does that do? It doesn't make you progress. Like that's why I don't start with doubt. I try to start with like establishing to move forward. Yeah, I think progressively. So the question is like, what if I'm wrong? It's like, how do I know I'm right? What gives me a sense of being right? You see, that's more offensive. Like you're moving forward. You're actually making things happen. Because that's how thinking works. It's like you get stuck like, oh, what if blah blah blah. It's like eventually it's like you're just getting your head stuck up your butt. Like just no, like proceed. Like it's I mean, there's a way in which people do stuff in their heads that their bodies are smart enough to know. Your brain automatically knows not to do it in real time. If you're looking at a cliff, like, what if this cliff is actually not there? So why are you asking? Even when you ask, like, why are you wrong? Like, what does that do for you? Why are you doubting? Like, because whenever you doubt, there's a sense like it's supposed to halt you, and you're supposed to be cautious about something, so you can figure something else out and keep moving. But some people just get stuck in the doubt. You know, they fall into, you could say, defense, but they never plan offense. So, like for me, doubt is always a type of, you could say, aid, reminder to fine tune, reminder to like improve and stuff like that. Like, I don't trust this. Okay, let me make it trustworthy. That's basically what you're supposed to do. That's the process.
Okay. Like, so how do I make?
Or rather, let me
how do I test?
Yeah. That's the question. Exactly. That's the question.
If the Bible is more trustworthy.
Exactly.
The framework, the reality that the Bible proposes, which all the other religions and philosophies kind of propose the same thing in the sense that they're the ultimate reality.
Yeah.
How do I test that against?
And that was my difficulty. Because that's why I put it as like there's embeddings. Because there's a way in which, like, if you try to test the Bible's reality, there's a way in which you end up being in it.
Yeah.
So your test, say, it fail. Then when it fails, you're like, I'm doubting this. I don't think this is the case. So then you kind of step out of it and you embed yourself with something else. That's maybe you may not articulate yourself, but it's implicit. You think this is the case. And you'll notice, like, there's always, like, I'm always noticing when I'm talking to people, like, you get a sense of people's intuitions and preferences and so on. And I call it, I consider like a type of troubleshooting. Or some people think of life as a maze, other people think of it as like a labyrinth. I think of it like a labyrinth. There's a destination. There is something that's the case. But you'll reach dead ends. And those dead ends are contained within the overall game as you're moving. Right. But I'm also aware, with this labyrinth metaphor, that some people will stay in certain dead ends because they're like, that's where, because they think those are destinations. Some people will just...
They focus the scope down.
Yeah. So, you see, that's my metaphor.
Like the frog in the... stuck in the well.
Yeah, something like that. Well, I've never heard that metaphor. But
okay, so the metaphor is the frog is stuck in a well.
Yeah.
And they think the whole world is the sky they see.
Oh, yeah. So pretty much that. And that's the difficulty. The difficulty of like, what's the nature of, how open is this? How closed is this? And that's why you'll hear like this, frankly, if you put it descriptively from different people's, like if you try to take into account and store different takes of stuff, there's a relativity, or rather a relation of open and closing. Different people, you're open in this enclosure. You're closed in this opening. You know what I'm saying? So people will say like, you're closed-minded. It's like, no. Like remember I was telling about like my conversation with my friend where she was like, she's like, well, truth is perception, and everyone has their own perspectives, and they're all equally valid. And I was like, well, that excludes the meta perspective that not all perspectives are equally valid. So if you exclude that, you're invalidating a perspective. So your statement doesn't hold up. That's why I put it as like, I trust somebody who's willing to tell me I'm wrong. That's somebody who's telling me everyone is right. Because that's not functional.
Right.
You can't work like that. Okay. So, but for her perspective, she took it as like, well, I feel like I'm open, and you don't accept other people's perspective, blah, blah. I'm like, no. The thing is, I actually accept more perspectives than you do, including the perspective that negates your perspective. The only difference is I actually choose to go with the perspective that actually works.
Right. While
your perspective doesn't work, but you want me to accept it while closing off mine. So you want to reject me. You want to tell me I'm wrong and contain me in you, but you don't get the sense that everyone's perspective by nature contains each other's. That's just how it works.
So are you saying that the perspective that the Bible or Christianity proposes is the most outside perspective you can get?
It's as itself, it's outside, but there's, remember how I said like calling what we're in creation versus calling it universe. creation implies creator, and then the creator can be a type of like a panentheism, like Paul puts like in him we move and have an our being. So it's like we're on the backdrop of Yahweh. But universe implies totality, and conservation was like, this is all there is. So whether there's a mind that's pantheistic, that the universe itself is mind, or whether God or whatever, or whether there is no mind is a feature of the universe that comes in, or whether, all these different variations are so like a conversation here. So notice how these are two different, I'm not even gonna give the word, but like, one is like all in Yahweh, so this is in Yahweh, and it's like mystery. One is, this is it, but we don't even know all of it. You see how they're still open, if you get what I'm saying, but there's like different, I almost put it like technicalities, different flavorings, different controls, different ways of decoding and communicating in regards to it, and different ways as a result of unfolding, given all of these that works as a particular software. And that's what makes communication, talking about these topics, so interesting.
So, okay, back to what we were trying to, like, how do we test?
Okay, the biblical reality. Like I remember, like for me, a character who I always liked was Gideon. And who's one of the people I relate to in the Bible, because the different people I relate to, like it's Gideon, Solomon, Eve, and mainly Gideon, Solomon, Eve, and I think Abigail, maybe Esther, but but mainly Gideon and Solomon. But like Gideon, God spoke to him, and God was like, "Look, I'm going to do this with you, and you're going to go to war and do this, whatever." And then Gideon was like, "Okay, the God of my culture, whether I accept it or didn't, we don't know his background. Maybe he said, I believe, I probably never had experience. Just spoke to me, okay, and I'm supposed to take it that this is him, okay. Okay, if you're legit, I'm praying to you. Give me this situation. Make this fur that's on the ground here wet, but keep the ground dry."
I remember now.
Yeah, then he was like, okay, that happened. Okay, now do the opposite. Okay, that happened. Okay, now I get a sense I'm interacting with you because you're making weird things happen in a local area. That's like, okay, you're in charge of this. You're making this happen. Okay, now listen to you. So then he decided to follow through, listening to what God's telling him what to do. He was still afraid. He was always like, he's a very doubtful person. Like he's very like, and you could tell like he's very like, you could say empirical. Like you could say if he was in our culture, he'd be a scientist. If you want to get it that way, he's like, I need to like see it. I need to like make things happen for me to be able to like trust you, which is smart. That's why I get him. That's why that's exactly how I'd be like, okay, somebody spoke to me, whatever. Exactly. So, so eventually he's unfolding. He's getting like God's like, okay, you guys are going to war, but you have too many people. What do you mean? He's like, right. God's trying to do something cool. He's also trying to show like, look, I'm still in control. Because there's a reason why God wants you to trust him, because he'll do amazing things and then reinforce your sense that he has power more beyond what you were even expecting. He can do more than you think. So it's like he's kind of like taking your hand slowly and increasing your faith in him. It's like, oh, you thought I was cool. It's kind of like when you're a kid and you have like a really cool parent, and it's like, oh, they'll set up situations in a way. It's like, oh, my dad's actually cooler than I thought. So he just like keeps, as you get older, it's like, oh, my dad actually way cooler than I thought. And that's kind of what he's doing. Like he's growing your faith. He's growing your faith in you. He's growing your understanding of him. So he's like, he tells Gideon, okay, this is what you're going to do to select your men. Tell them all to go and get a drink of water from this river or whatever. So they go to drink, and they drink. And some of them, while they drink, they're looking up. It's like the ones who are drinking and looking up, they're your warriors. The ones who put their heads down to drink, they're not fighters. They don't know what's going on. Because a fighter, if you're in a war situation, you're always paying attention. You can put it as like an expert in something, SE, and that's why I also like that sword, because I'm like, oh, I have a warrior's mentality towards it. Like, yeah, if I'm drinking water, it's like, you're never going to be attacked. So if you're looking down, once you get water, you're not out of touch. You don't know how war works. And also, that's a metaphor. That's, by the way, that's also a metaphor for how God wants you to be in this world. Always on the lookout. Like, where's the devil? On the lookout. Okay, how am I working? Like this, God wants you to expand your consciousness. That's the best way I can put it. People act as if like they don't get that Christianity is like it's about conscious expansion. God wants you to like be aware, but it puts it like in concrete of like keep your eyes open, because like the Hebrews are very physiological. They're very physical and concrete people. But like he's basically talking like keep your mind open, keep your conscious, stay aware, just keep tracking.
I mean, if God wants to glorify, wouldn't he choose the people that are not prepared?
I mean, I guess you could say that, but it's like, I mean, yeah, he could have done that, but it's just he didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like
we can't understand.
Yeah. I mean, he could have been like, oh, the ones he could have easily done like, oh, the ones who didn't look up, choose them because they're not prepared. then they'll become cool.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's just like, like this selection process. Like we're trying to eliminate people. And what's the smartest way to eliminate people? Those who don't act like warriors because they're not paying attention. And it turns out there was lots of them who weren't paying attention. So I think he whittled down to like, I don't remember, but it was way smaller number than before, and they still won. So so that's none of the premises the Bible gives you. Another premise is like, okay, pray, keep praying, keep seeking, and maybe wait for a dream, or wait for somebody to come talk to you. And if someone talks to you and they tell you something's going to happen, see if it happens. And then if it happens, haha. You know, because he can communicate through any means in his creation. And so those are the means. Like, just take the premises, take the procedures I've been given to you. Take what people have tried, you know, from fasting, it's like even reading the Bible, and then, oh, I read this, and then this stuck out to me. Stuff like that. You know, things like that. So there's multiple angles, multiple ways of communicating. And so that's the testing. And that will... I want to put it as like it will solidify your sense of what's working, and then it will build and reinforce itself as you're going. So that's the feature, because it's like because that's how any reality works, honestly.
Yeah,
it's like that's like how you learned like like all sorts of stuff that you learned when you were a kid. You learned them all as if they're all on the same level. Whether you learn Santa Claus is real, whether you learn Jesus is real, whether you learn the sun goes around the earth, or vice versa or whatever. Like they're all treated as if they're the same when you're a kid. You just take it all in and you go with it. But then as you're getting older, you're like, how does this work? And you get a sense, oh, it works this way. But then as you're learning more, it's like, actually, technically, this is what's going on. And you're like, actually, technically, I'm actually working a different way than actually can get this. Then you're like, actually, technically, there are things I can't get, and so on. It's like you kind of get, like, you just get this further and further layout that lays out things for you. And it's just fascinating. So it's just, I guess I put it as like, that's how I understand it. It's the way in which Yahweh has made it so you center on Him, you're oriented towards Him, and then He unfolds it for you. Because the thing is, I guess some people people will ask, give me evidence for God. This is like, make him, like as if I experienced an object like a tree. But it's almost putting as like, almost me telling you, take the fact that you're experiencing your body, that mind, and put it in front of me as if it's your body so I can see it. Because like, there's only ways like, well, that's a weird question, but that's kind of how we sound like when we were talking about Yahweh. It's like, well, the mind is animating the body. It's making the body work. It's not reducible to it, like metaphorically speaking. In fact, like I was talking about how, like, if you take a frog and you just keep cutting it up, or you take your neurons, your brain, it's like, oh, let me cut it up. Where's the thought? Where's the feeling? Where are you? Like, I'm trying to access it with my body, treating you outside my body so you see what my body. For some reason, I can't get it. No matter what I do with my body interactively here, I can't access it from the inside as if I am it. And that's what's fascinating about these topics, because it's like there's different advantages, and there are different types of different ways of communicating. I mean, there's things like, you know, within you as your body, things you know within your body, mind, things you know with your body, engage in the world, things you know from other people that you're not experiencing, how they experience their bodies. You see, it's just like, you're just always getting communication, but it's like, there's like different, say, mediaries. Your main immediacy is your consciousness that you're aware. And then from then, it kind of, you get sort of in like almost like a distance, but you weave a through line through as far as like understanding goes, as far as like even faith goes, because faith and understanding are intricately tied. Because whenever you consider something faithful, you have faith in it. You trust it. It's trustworthy, so I trust it. You see, so it's like you weave a through line, you weave a thread through different things that are different mediaries that are not as immediate, and then it holds together and gives you a sense of reality. That's the best metaphor I can give you for how some of those things work. Did you understand?
Yeah. Could you do that for other? Yeah,
you can do it for anything, because there's a feature of gold and fool's gold. You see, that's what makes it weird, because it's like but it's like with the Yahweh reality, like with the biblical, as he's unfolding you, he's always been like, keep to me, trust me. That's what makes it so weird, because it's like, I mean, take the Israelites, right? They're like, we're going through this situation where these guys are miracles. But it's like, maybe there's probably some of them are thinking, can't other gods do miracles too? How do we know this guy is like, this God is like the actual all-powerful one? He just says he is, and he's done cool things. Don't get me wrong. Maybe someone can do cooler things. You know, like somebody probably thought that. In fact, maybe they're like, hey, if we make this calf, and this calf reminds us of like these Egyptian gods and these other cultures' gods, maybe they'll do cooler things than they have. So they're like, oh, let's forget about them for a moment. Let's focus in. Let's see what happens. And that's the choice. It's like, take to me or don't take to me. Jesus presents himself. He's like, look, Yeah, it's just fascinating that he like it's set up like where he puts us like, look, make me the most important and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, gamble on me. You know, risk. In fact, that's the root word for the word experience, experiment, expert, and pearl.
Right.
Risk, trial, testing.
So there's a sense that all the other perspectives
Yeah.
also beckon you to take a risk on it.
In a sense, but some of them give you could say different mediaries and immediacies, if you will. Like you could say some mystical schools or even Buddhism, like they promise like you'll get this immediate state that will make you feel like there's certain mystical states that make you feel like you're one with everything.
It's not even immediate. It's kind of like there's also like a way to test it, and I mean like, yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of confused because it's like immediacy is the most intimate. It's like it's just, you know what immediate means, right? It's just like there's nothing in between. It's right here.
Oh, okay.
So it's like your conscious is immediate. Like the main fundamental thing you're aware of. That's why Jake Sparrow said, "I think, therefore I am." Because like the main thing I know is like my thoughts.
Okay.
It's like actually Descartes, if you're thinking deeper, like an Easterner, like the Indians and the Chinese or whatever, they'll say my awareness of my thought is more there than even my thoughts.
Okay.
So
okay. I get
so
what you're saying.
immediacy is just like what's the most instant, the most direct, the most you are the R-ness. And Yahweh puts it like I am the R-ness, but there's a weird way in which it's like it's a paradox. Because like I am the R, I'm what is, but I'm not immediate. So it's like there's almost like
I'm a different being.
Yeah, I'm a different being, but it's like
I'm also right there.
Yeah, but it's like it's a paradox. It's like on one hand he's omnipresent, but he makes his, you could say, his presence. He makes himself, and because presence, if you think about it etymologically, means at hand, like what you can grasp, what you can act on, because it makes itself manifest. So it's like the way in which he's present by being nature of human being, but his what you could say the signal, what communicates him. You could say, let me put it this way, you could say his being, his existence is noise. Okay, pure, like you get the noise of him being. But if you want to get a sense of him communicating with you, he gives you a signal. So then you get a signal, and then you store that as a story throughout, and you're like, okay, I'm waiting for more signals, and I'll use the signal to weave through the noise of life and so on, and the noise of who I am as a person. That's one way. That's some way to think about it. And another way to think about it is like maybe in terms of miracles. You could think of miracles as novelties, new things. Even like you could say, what is revolutionary? What is radical? If you think of it politically, coming out of a tradition. The tradition with the baseline, what's regular, uniformity, what you're used to. You can almost think of it like it's like an ocean that's still. But the novelty, the miracle, is like a wave that comes out of the ocean. But then once it comes, it settles back in. So what happens is people will see a wave come up, and they'll tell each other. Multiple people will see that, and they'll tell each other, and they'll pass it on. Like that's what the Bible is. That's why it writes. That's why there's an interesting feature of memory. They're like, remember this and pass this on to your children. Tell them the story. So they'll have a story like this has happened. You'll store it, and you'll use it when you get this experience in your own life, and you'll be able to connect it all together to other people's stories. Right. So you have a sense of continuity to see me unfolding through time, and unfolding through different people. But the difficulty becomes like people sometimes feel like, well, I can't trust the Bible because it came through humans. I'm like, well, who else would it come through?
Right.
Okay. Because it's like even if these people who say that, if they had a miracle, and they'll tell other people, eventually those people would meet people that they told to who would be like, why should I listen to you? You're a human being. You see, it's like that's why it's always fake. It's like, can I trust you? It's fundamentally like, can I trust you? What makes you trustworthy? And it's like, how do I figure out what's trustworthy? And that's the difficulty. But it's like Yahweh, it's so weird because it's like he makes it so like what I explained how like the noise and then the signal, but you have to like he makes it like send me a message, then I'll give you a signal. But if you don't want to send the message, if you assume it's just all noise, or if you listen to other signals, or you treat yourself as you're the signal, you won't get his signal. You won't get the message. It's just one of those fascinating features of this.
Right. I remember like maybe this is another sane thought.
Yeah,
but
I love these.
I remember I was like reflecting today on like Romans. I was thinking like there's something gaslighty about the way Yahweh is operating.
The way it's written, yeah. Because sometimes, in fact, I wrote that. I'll show that passage later. But like in the sense, like Paul will say something like, well, it feels like you're kind of you feel locked in, like you feel like boxed in. Where it's just like if I'm in this, it's like whether you accept it or not, it's true. And it's like people say that, but it's like that for anything. But everything that's true is like that. Where it's like whether you accept it or not, it's true. So there's always like but then it comes back like how do you know it's true? So there's always like but the only difference is there's some takes to what's true that's not, you could say, threatening, or that kind of like neutralizes or makes you not matter or whatever. You know, there are all sorts of different alternate ways. So just because like, well, how do I know it's the case?
Yeah.
But some people fall for some people hate the part that's like the ones that are like, well, this is threatening. If you jump off that cliff, you'll die. Really, why are you trying to control me, bro? It's like, no, because if you jump off a cliff, you'll die. I've never experienced people jumping off of cliffs and dying. Oh, okay, well, test it out. You'll see. Yeah.
Okay, so in that sense, so it's like God, the being that is,
Yeah.
created us with rules about justice and mercy, all of that written in our hearts, because He is the author of that.
Yeah.
And
I'll also add there are people who are malformed, who we can change, of course. But I mean, think the variations thing. Remember, like there was this verse I keep thinking about lately, where he's like when he told Moses, like, who made man's mouth? Who made the deaf, the mute, the seeing, or the blind? So he's like, I make people who work well, people who don't work well, and yet. Remember what Jesus calls back to Jesus, which is like, why was this person made blind? Why was this person made blind? Was it good look? He's like, no, because so God will show His glory. But sometimes, if you don't have this principle, so to speak, of how this is working, and you're not in a situation where people, I guess, will pray or whatever, or people just won't know, or I mean, there's so many ways in which God lets certain effects go. Like it's so interesting, like certain patterns unfold, certain good and bad patterns unfold for good and bad people. You see, what's so interesting, like all this variation, like certain things go to completion, other people's like stop immediately. So you get just different stylizations of time, if you will, in terms of like duration. If you just look at the feature of time, then stylizations of quality, and so on. So it's so fascinating. But yeah, continue.
Yeah. And He makes the rules. He not only made the rule, He is the ultimate overseer, the judge. And also because He made that rule, He is also bound by that rule.
Yeah, pretty much.
He can't break it.
Yeah, because because the rules that He makes come from who He is.
Yeah.
As far as like His relation to us. Because, I mean, in Job, He basically says like, I have a different relationship to other creatures than you. That's one of the things He's trying to say. He's like, look, you're trying to get how I work, but you don't understand, like, there's a way he's like, well, he says like, I feed predators. Do I feed you out to each other? No. You see what I mean? So it's like there's different, even with creatures, are different patterns for them, different values, different rules, if you will. And he's saying like this, like he's almost explaining to Job, like, you can't reduce me to yours. You are conforming to mine, not the other way around. And like I remember I was talking about how like he puts this like you know, sometimes people like it's starting with David when David was like I don't remember what song, but he's like who am I that you are mindful of me? Like, you know, what is man that you are mindful of? Like, why do you care about us? You know, we're smaller than angels. Like, we're not that powerful. We die just like animals. Like, what's so great? But then he's like, but when I look at the heavens, when I look at your creation, it's so amazing. It's so vast. So follow that statement there. And then later he tells the prophet, he's like, just as the heavens are above the earth, that's how my thoughts and my ways are yours. My thoughts are not your thoughts. My ways are not your ways. You see what I'm saying?
Wait. Back up.
What did you miss?
No, it's not. I didn't catch the through line there because, okay, so David was like, "What?"
I'm giving you a human perspective. Like, you know, we look at look like space, and you're like, "Whoa,
yeah,
this verse is so big." Or even like when we're learning, like, you know, physically, whatever. It's like, this is crazy. But then take that premise, that feeling that you have, and then use it to grasp what Yahweh is saying to human beings. He says, "Just as the heavens are beyond the earth, my thoughts and my ways are above yours." You know what I'm saying? He's like, I'm great. I'm beyond. I'm not. There's a way in which like let's try to put it like he's very humble. His interaction with us is humility. Because people are like, why is God so? Why does He want worship? I'm like, why would the infinite like talk to finite? Like it's really weird. It's a really weird thing.
It is.
It's so weird. Because I talked to one of my friends who's like he's a bit of he's like a Neoplatonist, all sorts of different things, like some ideas and stuff. And like mainly he's a perennialist, like Thomas Huxley. No, not Thomas Huxley. What the hell's his name? Aldous Huxley, yeah. He's a perennialist. Like, he's like, oh, our religions have the same underlying truth, and the esoteric and the hidden, they all agree. Like, well, there are different esoterics, so no, they can't all agree. But anyway, so we were having a conversation like, because he was saying, well, one of the interesting things is like the infinite becoming finite. I'm like, well, why did the infinite become finite? And I was like, well, there's a mystery. I'm like, yeah, it's yeah. So it's just fascinating. But yeah, anyway, yeah, continue. I just wanted to share that with you to kind of give you a sense of like, because I feel like you could say I try to take, even if I'm not feeling something, if I felt something before, I take, you could say, the logic, my description of it, and also that feeling, and then I use it here to like work through this. It's like, okay, like when I was explaining to you how people are like, why does it want worship? It's like, but you praise people who do amazing things, amazing athletes, amazing musicians and stuff, yet you don't praise the one who made them.
Right.
And you see, like, and in fact, that was Jesus' conversation with Krishna. If you ever read Rebels Like Christ, Jesus talks to Krishna. Jesus talks like, oh, these people are worshiping cows, yet why, or worshiping the sun? It's like, why would you worship the, you could say, the medium, but not the messenger, if you will? You know, like, it's like you're, or rather, almost, I guess, I guess, different ways to put it. Like, you're worshiping the message, but not the medium that allows the message to be. So you're missing the point. You're idolizing. You're concentrating what is vaster and that into this, so you can control it for your own benefit. And then you're turning your attention to it, and you become myopic and blind and stupid. And in fact, even the Bible plays on this theme with, like, I think it was Isaiah, where like God points out, like, he describes how idol workers work. Like, they make something, then they bow down to it, and stuff like that, and they treat it as if it's like legit. And then when you destroy it, they get mad at you. It's like, if it was so powerful, why didn't it save itself? So God just points out, like, human beings are stupid. Like, we just do stupid things. And like he's like, my people perish for lack of knowledge. You know, just like people just, and you know, people say like the beginning of wisdom is the fear of Him. If you respect Him, if you respect, like, what's the most powerful, what's the most important, what's the greatest, the greatest mind. Like, you just, it's like, I mean, that's where the ontological argument comes in, which it should actually push it towards, like, seek to know it, but it tries to keep it as an idea. It puts it like, okay, if you are oriented to say, is there a highest? The fact that I can conceive a highest, is there such, and how do I contact it? How do I access it? If you put that there and you respect it, and you seek it, and you access it, you'll be wise. But if not, you kind of just, you settle for mediocrity, you settle for, you could say, junk food over gourmets, you just make things up, you get certain things right, certain things wrong, half-truths, half, like, you know, fool's gold, blah, 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 and it's just, on and on it goes. So,
I thought you were gonna go hang out with your brothers.
Nah, that's cool. He went somewhere anyway.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. I mean, we always have time, you know? So I'm off on Sunday too, so. But besides, it's more important to me. So, I'm glad we're having this conversation, because...
I mean, you should hang out with your family. I mean, I'm
no,
sorry.
No.
Came in the...
It wasn't a hangout. We were just working out.
Yeah.
Well, it technically is a hangout, but it's like, I'm always with him.
Right.
You see, but it's just, yeah. It's all good. It's more important to me. Besides, I haven't made a video in a while, and this conversation we're having, like, people find it interesting, you know, those who are struggling with these things. And these are things that I'm working through that I'll polish up and try to make more accessible in the future. Like, I'll watch some of these videos back and maybe write things down that I've said and see, like, okay, how can I clarify this? How can I, so on. Like, the whole, like, noise versus signal thing, I was like, oh, okay, this, like, I just made that up on the spot. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty good, like, there. So, yeah.
So, okay, so God, creator of all things,
in the beginning,
made the rules,
yeah.
Bound by the rules, because He is the rules.
Right. The logos, the word, yeah, that's the order, that's the rules, yeah.
And I'm losing it. It's like, and we have to be beholden to the rules, and then if we don't, we die. But then He was also like, because I love you, I'm gonna create me again, but in a lesser form. And He's gonna take all that punishment, because I'm gonna circumnavigate the punishment that I'm gonna get by just giving you mercy and overlooking, you know, all your sins. Because I can't do that. I'm perfect, but I can circumnavigate this. It's like,
it's so fascinating.
It's like He's breaking. He's like.
It's like, the best way I can put it is like, I mean, I put it as like, it's like mediaries. It's like, I mean, think of like when we set up a system, like the government, where it's like, oh, well, we have to send this paper to this person, and this person has to approve here, and this will here, then it comes back here, and it goes here, then it transfer here. You know, we look at like, because the reason why we work sometimes, first of all, is like, why can't this be straightforward? It's like, because most things don't work in a straightforward way. Like, that's a delusion of the human mind, that we want things to always be linear. Because that's how our minds work, to tell stories. Yeah. Beginning, middle, end. But things are non-linear. Like,
also, I'm sorry, but also there's like a sense of distrust in that, because the government do all of that for its own benefit. Yeah. Like there's like this convoluted mess for its own benefit.
Well, some of that is
but also God, it's also for His own benefit, for His glory. Well, but He's the ultimate good. So.
Yeah. I mean, okay, there are multiple things they're saying there, where it's like, on one hand, that metaphor of like the bureaucracy, I'm saying, even a good bureaucracy that's not just trying to benefit itself, is just how it works for things. Okay. Well, let me put it this way. We wait in line, right? To It's like we're always waiting in line to go and fill out a form up front. That's a bureaucratic process. Then it gets transferred and people process it, and then we get what we're wanting. That's bureaucratic. That's still like, it's not immediate.
Okay.
There's still intermediaries.
Yeah.
But if you're like, well, why can't I just stand here and just say, there's yell to this person, and this person instantly gives me what I want? It's like, because there's a procedure. There's procedure. Like people, I don't know why people don't get procedures, but it's like, there's a way in which things work. And things unfold through time. It's not just instant immediacy. So by virtue of having time, things texture, things complexify. And then, not just that, you have time, but you also have variations, like you have differentiation, multiplicity, that has variation and has motion. And then, especially with human beings, there's a way in which, if you think of it like what makes us, if you think some feature of how we express, like we can under or overperform. And overperformance get paid well. Underperformance takes from other people's performance, if you want to think of it economically like that. I mean, even at work, some people do more work than others.
Yeah.
So there's a way in which, like, if you think of it as like God makes it rain and shine on all people, like everyone gets paid the same, like whatever, at a job. But some people are actually working harder, and people are working less. You see what I mean? But except with God's case, he's like, I'm paying you this, but I'm also storing the fact that you're stealing, and you'll pay for what you stole. But the thing is, with this thing, what I'm giving you is actually infinite. So you're in infinite debt. You stole infinite. So you owe infinite, but you're finite. You can't pay infinite. So me being infinite, I'll become finite and take all this. It's so weird. It's so interesting too. Like I don't completely get the technique, but this is like this. I'll take all this infinite debt and put it into myself, and then cancel it out with grace by like just like the punishment that comes from being in debt, whether it's like like you're in prison or you're beat up or whatever. Because there's a feature of like last culture. Even Nietzsche pointed out how how he had a myth of how we got a conscience, where it's like, oh, if I do wrong, I owe you this, so therefore you get to hurt me. So you have to, like, I'm paying you back by you hurting me. Like there's like a very distinctive basic. In fact, I even had this. So it was like whenever I feel guilty, I'm like, something bad should happen to me because I've done wrong. Therefore I should be wrong in some way. So like just to make up for it, like almost like it's kind of like that. So there's like because I've done wronged, I should be wronged. So God becoming finite to take on the infinite wrong, that concentration, like he takes it in and he's wronged on it through like almost, it's really interesting because it's like a symbolic thing too, where it's like the cross is humiliation and stuff like that. Like it's a horrible way to die too, but it's just like this whatever. So dies, comes out, transforms in glory, and just greater way of working, like this process that's kind of like, I guess you could almost put it like there's one in which, like, while I'm thinking and generating these things, you don't know how I'm thinking. You can't see my mind.
Yeah.
Yet something comes out of it. You know, like there's a process happened that's bringing you this, whatever you consider quality. So there's a way in which, even with each other, we're still having faith.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like if you think of somebody you consider very competent, and they're like, watch this, bro, I got you, or follow me. It's like, okay, I don't know, but I know this person usually knows what they're doing, so I'll listen to them. So even with each other, we still have like faith, even though we don't know. Even like you'll trust the person, but you don't even know how they're working. See what I mean? But you have it at a minor level. Now imagine what has all this. So that's why sometimes I tend to see like
Is someone calling you?
no, it's a scam.
Oh, okay.
That's why I tend to see like when I used to like everything's like a symbol or signal for eternal and stuff. There's only ways like I remember said like I made the pun that the thing in every can become an expression, an illustration of every. So hold on.
There's a pause button.
Yeah. Yes, from our perspective.